Welcome into Thursday, May 15th, 2025. This is FFPC Insider Access live on the Better Sports Network. I am your host, Eric Balkman. Connect with me on the socials, especially on X at Eric Balkman, EricBalkman. We got 2 hours of fun, frivolity, and potentially a little fantasy football. I don't know what we're going to get into because we have the incomparable Alan Seslowsky on tonight. Alan Seslowsky, who you follow on the X at Alan Seslowsky. You know him from RotoWire, all the RotoWire YouTube shows, including but not limited to the RotoWire Dynasty podcast. And of course, he and Jim Coventry hosting a SiriusXM fantasy sports radio show, which should be back in the next couple of months on SiriusXM for the NFL season. Alan, so good to have you on tonight, man. This is going to be fun.
There's a lot of damn roto companies, right? RotoWire, RotoViz, RotoWorld. I mean, someone should just call themselves Roto and see what. And meanwhile, Roto is like an old school, like beginning of fantasy football term, as it is.
I think it was originally a baseball term because, and this is the way I understand it. We're going to get nerdy here, but the first ever fantasy baseball league was called a rotisserie baseball league because it was held at a rotisserie chicken like deli. So I'm not making that up. That's where it comes from, rotisserie. Because then and then I was introduced to rotisserie chicken after I already knew about rotisserie baseball. I'm like, oh, they named the chicken after the baseball. No, the baseball became before the chicken in this in this sense. So we know how
came first, the baseball or the chicken.
The baseball came first here. Right. And congratulations to the baseball, that poor chicken. Okay, let's talk about what we're going to be talking about tonight on the show. We're going to go around the NFL in this first segment, all the news and notes that are affecting your FFPC and fantasy football drafts right now. In the second segment, and this is something that, Alan, I think, was this on the RotoWire Dynasty podcast, you and Mr. Charles Chill himself, Scott Connor? I saw you guys talking on X about, and I think Scott said this originally, every single rookie profile, rookie commentary, it's all about the positives. It's all about the ceiling. And you guys must have come up with the idea, hey, let's do a show where we talk about nothing but the downside of all these players. Is that how it came about?
You nailed it exactly. I heard Scott make the comment on a podcast, Scott Connor over at DD Fantasy Football. It's like everyone's so positive and everyone only seeing the upside. I said, meanwhile, we already know, Balky. We play FFPC all the time. We play in our Dicey leagues. We know most of these things fail miserably, right? So we said, let's just state the case of what could go wrong instead of what could go right. And that was a lot of fun because I think after we were done, I sold all my rookie picks for veterans. I didn't want any of them.
I want to get into that too with you because I think that's a fascinating dynasty conversation to have. So that will be the second segment. We'll talk basically just rookies in that second segment. The third segment is all about polarizing players. I want to talk about a live draft that you did on YouTube. We'll talk about some of the players that you drafted there and some players you didn't draft there. I want to talk about you had the great Jamar Chase call of 2024. I want to get your potentially a 2025 call on that as well. If there is none, that's fine. But if there is one right now, if there's somebody close, I want to hear it. So we'll talk about that in a second. Before we get started, Alan already alluded to this. There's a lot of stuff going on with the FFPC, including the big Gorilla Tournament, $1 million grand prize. Drafts going off right now, $50 discount on every third team you sign up for. The early Rampage and 7 Bananas promos are live. So if you are one of the first 200 leagues to draft, you're going to be entered in the early Rampage tournament. 2 tournaments for the price of 1. And if you keep getting that 7 pick, as much as 5 times in a row, every time you get it in a row, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, we're going to give you something. And if you get it the 5th time in a row, boom, FFPC is sending you and three people on a jungle safari, which is going to be great. If that's not your jam, we're going to give you 50 grand cash. So whatever you want there. The FFPC main event slow drafts are off and running. That's another $1 million grand prize. Early bird deadline comes up in about 2 weeks here, May 31st. You'll get $200 off your first team. And you'll also be entered in the FFPC Pros versus Joes drawing, where you can win a free FFPC main event team when you compete against 5 other Joes and 6 industry pros. FFPC Best Ball and Superflex Best Ball tournaments going on right now. $300,000 and $100,000 grand prizes there. The $100,000 runner-up prize in the Best Ball tournament is new this year, so you don't even have to win the thing to win 6 figures. 30-second, 60-second, 2-hour, and 6-hour clocks, and Dynasty startups available at myffpc.com. Entry fees starting at $100, going up to $5,000. 1,800 plus leagues over the last 15 years. None have ever folded. myffpc.com, myffpc.com. Our producer is Sean Engel, the man behind the glass, pushing all the buttons tonight. Alan, I know you and I talked about this last year, I think. Have you been able to pare down your dynasty leagues, or have you actually added more now?
So let's give people context. I went to Dynasty Leagues Anonymous. I'm back. I'm recovered, right? I was in 41 Dynasty Leagues, which, by the way, is good. It might sound like a lot to some people, but it's like when you go into, if you go into any anonymous, like you think like, oh, you have a problem. There's always people way worse, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I know people are in 60 leagues. So yes, Balky, I did it. I was, listen, I paid. The long short is I went from 41 to 13. Okay. Now you might say, oh my God. I paid all my fees in advance for the next year. The teams weren't like horrible teams. Most of them were playoff teams. So there was assets to sell. So yes, I'm recovered. I've resisted most startups. I've only did one because it was, I got pulled in with some, with like Dave Kluge from Football Guys.
Oh, sure,
He made a very persuasive case to come into a league, but I only did one startup. Short answer. I'm back. I feel sane. I'm energized because I was starting to hate fantasy football when you're in that many leagues.
Yeah, and you don't want to do that, right? And I always say, like, everybody knows their limit. Everybody knows what they can do. And kudos to you, my friend, for making sure that all these 28 teams that you orphaned were in good shape, that you paid the deposits. Like these are like the creme de la creme orphans. These are the orphans with a 4.0 GPA, the orphans that are destined for an Ivy League school, the orphans that are destined to be a CEO someday. That's what Alan Seslowsky left everybody else. So shout out to you.
Where are you at? Thank you. Where are you at on your body count as far as number of leagues this year? When you your dynasties, add in your projected redraft. Give me a total number that you're going to play.
It's going to be the highest it's been in a while. It's not the highest ever, but I think when I I'm probably already in 15 plus. And I think when it's all said and done, I'll probably be right around 30 or so, it's not the highest I've ever been. And some of those will be best balls, so I don't really have to manage them, which is good. But yeah, this year here's the problem. I had a good year last year, Alan. So what do? I don't take that cash and spend it on my family. I reinvest into more leagues. That's the issue. I need to go to Fantasy Football Anonymous too. Or whatever it is.
Every gambling story starts the same. I was up big and then I lost it all.
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
Yep, we all have that same story.
Last night I was doing a show. I was doing my High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour show with Farrell Elliott, and it was right after the schedule came out. I have not taken a deep dive into this. I did notice again, and I don't know why the NFL does it, but it almost seems like this is what's going to happen now going forward. Week 13, nobody on bye, which is good because the FFPC League Championships and the Big Grill in the main event, that's the opening weekend for league playoffs. But the following week, we have 4 teams on bye in week 14. Which stinks because, you have a situation where you draft a player, you have him on your team all year, and then you get to the championship game, you can't use him there. Now it's the Panthers, it's the Patriots, it's the Giants, and I think the Niners. Those are the 4 week 14 buys. So it could have been worse. There's not a lot of luminaries for the Patriots. There's not a lot of luminaries for Carolina. San Francisco obviously has Christian McCaffrey, but God knows if he's going to be healthy at that point. Malik Neighbors is the big loser in here. Let me pitch this to you, Alan. I think that you could make a case. I'm not saying I believe this. You could make a case that you should target players on with those week 14 buys, even knowing if you're in your league championship, you're not going to have them. But you have 13 weeks to utilize the waiver wire and in some leagues trades to acquire players that can fill in for them in week 14. Plus, you get to use them every single week of the regular season and the opening week of the playoffs, something that the other teams can't do. Now, I might be on the Balky Island on this one. A lot of people might not feel the same way. But I wonder if there is a case to be made that you should actually be targeting, and this is going to come off bad because I'm an employee of the FFPC, and he's like, oh, he's just trying to spin it. But I really do think there is something to be said for this, that if you target guys in week 14 buys, I'm not saying load up your team with all of them, but I think there are certain circumstances where this could work out for you.
Oh, make room on Bulky Island for me, my friend. I am right there for you. And plus, you're going to get, the idea is just to get into the tournament, right? Like, worry about that. That there's going to be players, Bulky, that FFPC players don't draft that basically are league winners, right? We see it every year. Like Tim Hightower going back like a decade is like always the name that everyone brings up. So yeah, Malik Neighbors is going to hurt. Understand that, but everyone has a bye, right? Like if you have a player that has a bye in week 8 and you lose that game and then you don't make the playoffs by one game, what's the difference, right? And then now all those players that you had on bye, TreVeyon Henderson might be another one, the rookie running back on New England. A lot of people are very high on him. I mean, in Dynasty, I know that's not what we're talking here. He's a top 10 running back. He's probably a top 15, top 20 running back, I'm assuming, in most of these contests. So, at least you're going to have these guys rested off a bye. We love players that are off a bye for the following week. So, yeah, plan for it. I never draft for bye. I never look for like week 17 correlation in best ball. Maybe it's a weak spot, but you got to get there first, right? Like there's nothing. And in home leagues, you got to start 3-1 in the month of September, or else you're giving up and you're demoralized. we're hardcore, but you got to get off to those fast starts. I never worry about buys. As far as schedule release, there are some good games in the first couple of weeks, like Ravens, Bills, week 1. That's going to be fun, right? The offenses are always sloppy, but those games should be high impact. And then the other game in week 2, Eagles, Chiefs, Super Bowl rematch is always good, Balky.
They are, and I think if you look at the point spreads for that week 1, there's not a whole lot there's a lot of 1 and 2 point and 3 point point spreads. So I think week 1 is going to be quite the treat this year as well. I want to go to Carolina here, and we'll go back to Carolina in the second segment. The Panthers have placed Jonathon Brooks on the preseason, or excuse me, the regular season PUP list. Because they are placing him on the PUP list this early. There is no shot for him to play in the 2025 season. Now, a couple of things about this. One, obviously, this stinks. That's the second time he's torn his ACL. But 2, I wonder if Carolina did this knowing they have just re-signed Chuba Hubbard, knowing that they have drafted Trevor Etienne, thank you, and knowing that they signed Rico Dowdle. Like, they're probably good. And what this allows Jonathon Brooks to do is not feel like he has to rush himself back to try to get into, especially if Carolina's making a playoff push in December. So I wonder if this is more of a mental thing for Jonathon Brooks, like, hey, we're good for 2025. You just worry about 2026. So I think that there's something there. You were talking, I wanted, God, it might've been Dave Kluge on X. You're going back and forth about a trade that he had made in Dynasty. And Brooks was part of the component. This was last year that he made the trade, obviously prior to the ACL.
I probably crapped all over it, right?
Well, no, I think you took the side, because I think Etienne was involved, and you took the side like, you're not totally sure that Brooks is a lost cause here.
Right. Okay. Yes. I know what you're talking about. Right. It's like everyone thinks that Brooks is dead. Right. And he's basically in the dollar bin, right? At this point, like you just search around there, you pull him out. He's still young, right? He's still going to get a chance. That's what's great about being like RB1 in a class or a first round running back, even if you're not, there's multiple guys, is that it's not that you're good. It's that you're going to get more chances, right? So ACL, it's not a death sentence. This is terrible that it's happened twice. The chances are very low. But you're sitting on the clock, in any draft, let's say in your rookie draft in the FFPC, and like Devin Neal is sitting there, and you're like, all right, I guess maybe, or Jonathon Brooks. It's a decision you have to make, but it seems like Brooks is being passed around for like 4th round rookie picks. Obviously he's not being drafted in redraft leagues or best ball, but yeah, it's, and by the way, the Carolina could also sign a veteran. There's a couple of veterans out there. There's J.K. Dobbins, there's Cam Akers, there's Nick Chubb is still looking for an opportunity and a team. So yeah, let's see what happens. But I would say he's, like you said, dead for fantasy football purposes. And I don't mind like getting them as a throw-in. If you have like someone on the end of I'm trying to think of like a wide receiver that people like kind of like I would trade like a Romeo Doubs for him, something like that. Like someone would do that in a heartbeat. But imagine this time last year saying Romeo Doubs for Jonathon Brooks. Guy, he hasn't proven that he's bad yet. He's gotten injured twice.
I think the draft pedigree, the draft capital, like you said, it allows him a certain
gives him a leash.
Longer leash, exactly. Yeah. And when you are in, because you're not taking Romeo Doubs, you're not taking Jonathon Brooks as in your dynasty rookie drafts that are including free agents.
Yeah,
you're not taking them in the 3rd round. You're taking them later. And like the to have a baseball reference here, and Alan, this, the deeper you get into your dynasty rookie draft, the bigger your swing becomes, right? You're swinging for contact in those first couple of rounds, but man, it gets to round 3, round 4, round 5. It's just like it's home run or nothing, because you don't want to take these guys that are roster cloggers that are going to sit on your team and take you away from the potential of having a home run on your roster. You want to be able to get rid of these guys once you know that, okay, I swung and missed on this one.
Yeah, you want a quick reveal. I mean, that's the way you're saying it. Like with a running back, if he's inactive week 1 and then doesn't play week 2, I mean, you could hold on to that player, but the minute, or especially with a receiver, I mean, with a running back, you probably want to hold him a little bit longer. But if you're taking, any of the day 3 wide receivers in your rookie draft, they're just sitting there. Use the term roster clogger. I think that's the perfect way to describe it. It's like you want to be able to drop those players to pick up, the waiver wire du jour, whoever the hot pickup is that week. So if you, if you don't want those type of players that you're never going to feel comfortable starting even in bye weeks on the roster, Balky.
And players that you have to wait on. Like I took in one of my rookie drafts in my dynasty leagues, I took Savion Williams, knowing that he is in like the 4th round, knowing he's not going to contribute anything, at least fantasy wise, for 2025. But in that league, we have a 2-man taxi squad. So I can just place him there and he's not clogging my roster. If I didn't have that taxi squad, ain't no way I'm drafting Savion Williams in that draft. Let's move on here. I want to talk actually Packers. Passing game coordinator for Green Bay, Jason Vrabel, said earlier this week that Jayden Reed has bulked up to 199 pounds, and he's acting as a leader in the wide receiver room. Now, this is coming off the heels, I believe, of an ESPN report from Rob Demovsky that Brian Gutekunst, the GM of Green Bay, actually had a sit-down meeting with Jayden Reed to reinforce that the picks of Savion Williams and Matthew Golden does not affect him as being the top receiver option on this team. Now, top receiver option, our ears perk up, and then we hear Green Bay, I'm like, maybe that's not, it doesn't mean the same in Green Bay as it does around the league. Jayden Reed, wide receiver 49 right now in the 1007 in the Big Gorilla, according to fantasymojo.com. Darren Armani's great website. If you play in the FFPC, get a subscription there. Highly recommend it. He is going off as wide receiver 49. This is behind Igbuka. It's behind Burden. It's ahead of Josh Downs. It's ahead of Michael Pittman here. What do you make of Jayden Reed, a guy who was always kind of slight coming out of Michigan State, bulking up to a pound less than 200? So if he was one more pound, we'd be like, oh my God, Jayden Reed's in the 200s. This is insane. But knowing that he's bigger, he's thicker this year, and he's acting like a leader, I'm wondering if Jayden Reed is becoming a value here in redraft leagues, Alan, in the mid-10th.
Yeah, I mean, what you're framing this in a redraft conversation, and I certainly will address that. But like in any long-term keeper leagues or dynasty leagues on the FFPC, I use news like this to like get a deal done.
Get rid of them. Get rid of them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I was able to. I packaged him with Devon Etienne. I got up to Justin Jefferson. I mean, I know that's like a crazy deal, but there was some other things, but that got me there, right? Now, as far as redraft, right? I mean, we've already seen, like, you remember week 1 where Jayden Reed, he had like 25 fantasy points, and in those leagues that drafted after that first week, he was like going in like the 1-2 turn in some leagues.
It was insane. I remember we had drafts that Friday night at the FFPC in Las Vegas, and I remember seeing him go like at the end of the 2nd round. I don't know if I saw anything live where he was going at the 1-2 turn, but I did hear online drafts.
Whatever it was.
Night. It was crazy. Yeah. It was crazy because of how well he did against Philly.
Yeah, and Isaiah Likely was another one that. But to your question about Jayden Reed, I mean, like you said, they distribute the ball. Jayden Reed, I think, is appropriately priced, right? This is now when you said it sounded like they had to reassure him, like no, it's okay. And so I just think that it's not going to change much. And, I've heard some interesting, like analysis saying like, well, the Packers are very run heavy. I think they know that too. So what's the answer is that you get a 1st-round receiver and you become less run heavy. So I think it's reasonable to expect that they'll pass a little more. And Jayden Reed is like, he's fine, right? Like you take him in that range. You're not thrilled. You're not pissed. Like he's startable. But man, I mean, last year, I mean, he was one of those hype guys, and I would say a major disappointment. Now they add a 1st-round receiver. Forget Savion Williams, but I mean, they had Matthew Golden. I know he's a polarizing prospect that either you love him or hate him, but either way, I don't think that there's like serious upside for Reed on more than a game-to-game basis.
I think the thing with Reed is the price tag is so low now, and he's being talked about as the number one receiver in Green Bay. At least, I mean, he will be to start out the season. We'll see how Golden could come on in December and be like, okay, he's the man at this point.
Did you see the coach speak index thing, like where the coaches were saying, and it's follow that on Twitter, and they were just saying like, we don't have such a thing as it's from last year, but they said we don't have such a thing as a number one receiver. We're just distributing. So anyway, another point there.
But totally, yes, and that's what they've said for the last couple of years in Green Bay. But now the other thing is like, okay, what do they do in the draft? They took a receiver in the first round for the first time in 2+ decades, and then they added another one in the third round. So I don't know what to think on that. So I think that with Reed, for me, because of the drop in the price, now I can get on board with him, even if he's going to have these random 6-point weeks or 3-point weeks. I can get on board with it if I know that more often than not, he's going to be right around 12 to 15 or something like that. He's my wide receiver 4, Alan. He's my wide receiver 5, somewhere around there. I'm totally on board with taking him at that point because of it's all about what Matthew Berry always says this too. I don't hate players. I hate ADPs. And I look at the ADP as far as like, okay, I like that value, but I don't like that value. Right. And I think that's how I look at this.
Well said.
Let's go to New Orleans. My God. Tyler Shough is apparently going to be the Saints starting quarterback this season after Derek Carr announced that he is retiring. This was just over a week or just under a week ago, because of a shoulder injury. Could have had surgery on it, could have rehabbed it. He decides, you know what? I'm good. I'm hanging it up. And now there is a cavalcade of crap, or at least perceived crap in New Orleans right now. Spencer Rattler, Jake Haener, and Tyler Shough, the second-round pick, who I believe, happy birthday to Tyler Shough today, just turned 49, which is awesome for him. He's finally getting a crack at the big leagues. Your thoughts on Saints players in general this year as a result of this quarterback situation? I was talking with somebody last night, and I thought that they sold me on Olave being kind of a buy in the 6th, 7th round in redraft again. And then Kamara, a guy that not only has this quarterback thing working against him, he's got his age working against him. And nobody wants to draft a 30-year-old running back. I mean, my God, they would rather chew their own arm off. Kamara is still going in the big gorilla as running back 16, but at the 4-5 turn here at this point. How do you feel about the Saints offense in general here, Alan, knowing that it's going to be Shough or Rattler or Haener this season?
It feels like Rattler might be the first they throw into the snake pit, right? Like just to see what happens and then give themselves an out with Tyler Shough. But I mean, if anyone, I'm going to use a fantasy football cliche here, man. What if Tyler Shough is this year's Bo Nix, right? Like, I mean, nobody thinks he's going to be good, right? I mean, I guess that might actually be probably more Jackson Dart, right? This year's.
But the age thing with Shough and Nix, I think is
right.
Appropriate.
There you go. Exactly. And, there was people that were, there was smart tape people that really like Shough. And look, he's going to get opportunity there. And if he's even like, okay, the receiving room isn't bad. Like you said, the price is great on Olave, right? He's never been cheaper. I mean, for good reason though. Let's not forget Rashid Shaheed is kind of quarterback proof from what he does. I mean, he's going like the 8th or 10th round, depending on the day of the week, right? I love Rashid Shaheed. I've had him on almost all of my best ball teams. I must like him more than anyone coming off a season-ending injury. And then remember, their third receiver is Brandon Cooks. I mean, he's back on the Saints again. So they have a credit. Listen, they don't have even close to the worst receiver room. And then Juwan Johnson, who is a credible tight end here. So I think that they're in whoever the quarterback is going to be set up for at least a game management. And I'm not out on any of the Saints. The price is fair on all of them. And Alvin Kamara is there's 2 players in redraft and FFPC. I cannot believe the price on. Alvin Kamara did not look like he was slowing down at all last year. In fact, they gave him a little bit of a contract extension. They have faith in him. So him and then, a different team, but Jalen Waddle, I love the price this year, but the Saints itself, sticking with that, I mean, how could you not be in on all of them? I haven't gotten to draft Olave a lot. There's always, I think just roster construction wise, I'm doing different things at that point. But yeah, I mean, they have a bunch of quarterbacks there. They're going to spin through them. I mean, if the worst case, if Tyler Shough is Will Levis's rookie year, that's fine, right? For fantasy football.
The other thing, too, is the division that New Orleans plays in.
That's a good point.
Carolina, we thought that they were going to go defense hard on day 1 and 2. And what did they do? I mean, it was a lot of offense, right? With Ted McMillan, they get Trevor Etienne, obviously, on day 3. You had Tampa Bay, who I think They're pretty good in the secondary, but if you look at that front seven, I still see a lot of holes there. And then Atlanta, seemingly, I thought they're going to be awesome on defense last year with all the money that they spent in free agency. And they have their moments, but they also didn't have their moments. Like, they gave up a lot of points in several games, and now it seems like they're pinning their hopes on a couple of rookie edge rushers. And depending upon how those guys turn out, we could see a lot of shootouts here as well. So you don't even necessarily have to be all that good to put up points with New Orleans. And we've seen Kamara do it before. We've seen Olave do it before. I do think there will be a price correction coming up over the course of the summer where those guys, Olave, Kamara, they'll bump up. But I think this is why you draft early. This is why you draft now, so you can get deals on these guys.
What about Shaheed? Is any interest there or just
no? Yeah? So Shaheed, I was going to tell you this. He is going in the buckle up and make sure that your pants are kind of loose. Shaheed in the FFPC 1205 right now.
Yeah, okay, there it is. So
it's insane. It's insanely low. Wide receiver 57. He's going below Darnell Mooney and Kyle Williams. He is going ahead of Hollywood Brown and Christian Kirk.
So you know where I'm getting my Shaheed, and this makes more sense. I've been getting Shaheed on the underdog and stuff like that, where you have to push people out of the way for receivers.
Right, yeah.
This makes more sense. So yeah, I've done I've done probably like 8 best balls on FFPC. This only means I need to deposit again and do some more because I'm getting Well, it's also the start 2 receivers versus start 3 on some of the other platforms. So this is why I love FFPC. They overvalue the tight end for good reason, and they undervalue the receivers. So my style
that's what's so great about it is, like, you can, however you value your players, that's how you can build your team. Like, if you want to go heavy on tight end, more power to you. You want to go heavy on wide receiver because the running backs get pushed up, that's fine. If you're an old school guy and you want to load up and you want to build a team that's going to start 4 running backs optimally every single week, who's stopping you? Like that. Yeah. That's what's so great about it is all this flexibility.
I got to get into Armani's website so I can see the updated ADP. Because
it's that Fantasy Mojo is like, and I can't remember. This was like many years ago. And I couldn't believe the price. Like, this was like 10, 12 years ago. His subscription was like $7 for a year, and he had a lot of players telling him. And I think I might have been one of them. Like, dude, charge more. You got to charge more for this kind of. And it's not even the ADP. I mean, like, he's got stack finders on there. He's got draft boards. He's got previous years. It's a treasure trove of whatever you're looking for. So
it looks like the FFPC does reveal their ADP by tournament, though. Like, I'm seeing it right here on the website. Go ahead. Yeah, absolutely. You can see it. And like in the draft rooms, I mean, we have ADP in there, and then we have rankings too. I can't remember where we're getting our rankings. It used to be Fantasy Pros. I may still be that. I'm not sure. Right. But you could sort it however you want. So whatever you want to take a look at with rookie draft ADP, fantasy Big Gorilla ADP, main event ADP. Armani has it, and I think like his website is and it's easy to read. It's easy to assimilate everything. It's fantastic. Cool.
All right, let's get to Tyreek Hill. He posted on his Snapchat account Wednesday. You follow Tyreek Hill on Snapchat, Alan?
I follow him everywhere. I follow him on OnlyFans, everywhere, man. Everywhere he is.
Tyreek Hill's OnlyFans. There's certain information I don't want to have.
You know what you're missing, man.
I don't, and I want to keep it that way. He had a procedure to remove screws from his left wrist. The fall of Tyreek Hill has been real in both FFPC Dynasty and FFPC Redraft Leagues. In the Big Gorilla, this dude is now the wide receiver 16, Alan, going at the 308, behind the likes of Jackson Smith and Jigba, T. Higgins, Terry McLaurin. He's going just ahead of Rashee Rice, Marvin Harrison, and Devontae Adams. We saw last year a concerted effort by Mike McDaniel to keep Tua Tagovailoa upright, and a lot of short passes to Jonnu Smith and Devon Achane, and not a lot for Waddle, not a lot for Tyreek Hill. I got to believe it will not continue in 2025, at least to that level. But I do think that if you're betting on a bounce back for Tyreek Hill this year, you still got to curb your expectations a little bit because he's not a spring chicken anymore. And the offense is not necessarily all dedicated to get him the ball whenever you can. So I think Hill, I still recognize the upside there, but I am a little bit nervous about drafting him this year. I drafted him in one league so far as my wide receiver 3. I'm good with that. But as far as like Tyreek Hill this season, I'm definitely more on the bearish side than the bullish. How do you feel about him?
Well, a few minutes ago, I just told you I thought Jalen Waddle was the best value on entire fantasy football. So this ties into that perfectly. Right before we got on air, I was making myself some bacon and eggs. I was doing breakfast for dinner, right, Balky? And the bacon looked a little funny, right? And I was unwrapping it. I knew it was a little bit older. And then I smelled it, and it smelled. I was like, I'm not. No, I can't do it. Can't do it. I just threw it right in the garbage. That's what Tyreek Hill is right now. It looks a little off. It smells a little off. There's bad vibes around it. He's just a tough buy right now. And I don't mean like in your long-term keeper leagues. I mean, at that price, at 308, I mean, I'd rather reach on a quarterback and take Josh Allen or, whoever's going there, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, whoever you like there. I know like the third round's a little early for quarterback, but in week one, when Lamar has 38 points and Tyreek Hill goes 2 for 28, you're going to be like, okay, I'm glad I did that. Yeah. I like Devontae Adams, 32 years old on the LA Rams. I like him better there. Listen, if Tyreek Hill has a bounce back year and there's just a lot of weird stuff going on with him, like energy wise, vibe wise, but maybe it was just remember week one last year was getting arrested outside of and handcuffed. So look, 308, you said. Yep. I mean, that seems about right, but someone offered me in a dynasty league, Balky, someone offered me 201 for him. I said, no. It was like an easy snap call. I said, I'll give you like 210 for him in a rookie draft. And, we just couldn't agree. I don't want any part of him, which kind of ties into Waddle, man. Now, if Tyreek Hill gets traded because there's bad vibes over there, then that's another path for Waddle to explode this year, who shows he could do it all the time. So out on Hill, in on Waddle.
There is a dynasty trade I turned down roughly a month ago, and maybe I screwed this up. I don't know. There were some other moving parts to this, but the two centerpieces on both ends, I would be giving up my Ricky Pearsall in exchange for his Tyreek Hill. Now, he was giving me a little bit more in addition to that, and I turned it down. Rob Vieira, who is a longtime FFPC player, plays a lot of dynasty. He always says, like, acquire ascending assets whenever you can. And to me, Pearsall, he's probably never going to hit the ceiling of Hill, but he is ascending. At least I view him as an ascending asset. Tyreek Hill, his best football is behind him, any way you slice it. I don't think he's all of a sudden going to recapture the magic of what he was doing 2 years ago, 3 years ago, or whatever. So I turned it down. Maybe I'm just too high on Pearsall. But to me, like, and I don't know how it's been for you with your Tyreek Hill shares in Dynasty. Has he been a guy that has been hard to shed for you?
I haven't tried to shed because Tyreek Hill is not the type of player. Look, the guy couldn't even get him for Pearsall, right? And Pearsall hasn't really done anything besides a couple weeks. Tyreek, when you're playing like keeper dynasty stuff, the Tyreek Hill is worth the most when he's scoring points for their team, right? So if he comes out and he does have an 8 for 80 and a touchdown in week 1, 6 for 75 and a touch in week 2, that's when you strike with Tyreek Hill, because then you can get. And what if Pearsall comes out slow, right? You would probably do that trade. The guy goes, hey, I'm still willing to do it. So again, we're in the offseason here. These over 30 on the downslope vets, Mike Evans, we can go into all their names. You got to wait. You only can sell those guys in season. There's no market for them that you're going to get anything close to what they could be worth 2 months, 3 months, 4 months before the season.
Yeah, because hope springs eternal. We're all seeing the ceiling on all these guys right now until everybody watches you and Scott Connor just absolutely take a dump on all these rookies, and
they're all going to fail.
They're all going to fail. Exactly. The Steelers are still remaining in contact with Aaron Rodgers. They hope he eventually signs. When you consider that Jaylen Warren, Caleb Johnson, DK Metcalf, Roman Wilson, Calvin Austin, Pat Freiermuth, all these guys are
Robert Woods.
Robert Woods is another guy. Thank you. These guys are all going to be affected, whether Rodgers or Mason Rudolph or somebody else is the starting quarterback here. That affects how you treat them in Dynasty. It affects how you treat them in best ball, Alan. Have you been treating Steelers as if Rodgers is going to be the quarterback there this year?
Somewhere in the middle, which again, it's because if it's not Rodgers, they've already said they're going to make a play for a Kirk Cousins for a late round pick, right? And that's good enough. And I think we saw Mason Rudolph is not like the worst for fantasy, right? Like not him himself, but he's shown that he could probably support fantasy assets, especially like this. Now they'll probably be run heavy. So if Rodgers is there, maybe there's a little more upside. And the price on DK, it's been very fair. It's funny though. It hasn't really moved since the George Pickens trade. It's in that same tier. Maybe somebody preferred like Jordan Addison over him. Now they prefer DK Metcalf a little bit. But again, he hasn't like shot up to like a top 15, top 12 Dynasty receiver. Remember when DK Metcalf, by the way, was wide receiver 1 in Dynasty? That was like a valuation that actually happened after his like rookie year.
It was fun. It was a fun time. It was a fun time.
Hope
if
you
you had him,
didn't
and then you could give him up and acquire all these assets.
Yeah, I'm just treating the Steelers as they're going to have a quarterback that's good enough to get DK Metcalf the ball. You brought up Roman Wilson. I think that's like an interesting sleeper for the end of the draft. I haven't heard too many people talk about him, but that's right. Like he was a popular pick in the second round of our rookie draft.
I think they picked him in the third round of the NFL draft, if I remember correctly.
It might have even, I'll look it up while we're talking, but it might have even been early. Was it third or was it like late second?
It could have been. I don't know. I just remember he was slipping in rookie drafts last year, and I ended up getting him in a few just because I couldn't believe, like, okay, look at the draft.
You're right. 84th overall in the third round.
Okay, so there you go. Right now in the Big Gorilla, you see, as far as Pittsburgh receivers go, DK Metcalf 505, wide receiver 25, Calvin Austin 1810, Roman Wilson 2011. I bring up Calvin Austin here because in one of my rookie drafts that ended last weekend, I had the last pick of the draft, which means I won the league.
Nice flex.
Exactly. Yeah, thank you so much. But I took Calvin Austin at the 7-12 just to see, like, maybe this guy will be the number 2. Yeah. If you look at what happened in 2024, like, Roman Wilson just didn't get on the field. And I understand the draft capital's there, but Calvin Austin was the guy making plays there. And, maybe Austin and Metcalf are not complementary players where you don't want them on the field at the same time a lot. Roman Wilson probably is more complementary as far as his skill set goes to DK Metcalf's skill set. So I think that there's something to be said for that. But Calvin Austin and Roman Wilson, like, regardless of how you feel about these guys, 18th round, 19th round, 20th round, man, I'm taking a shot on those guys. And that could be a big time difference maker in your best ball drafts.
Yeah, you've piqued my interest here for sure. Like, there's certain times you go on podcasts and there's things that like you talk about. And if this is what I always tell podcast guys, just listen to the other guy, because I wasn't thinking about those guys. And seriously, like those are good takes right there, Balky. Like the Calvin Austin thing for sure, because I mean, again, you said he doesn't think he's a good compliment to DK Metcalf. He reminds me a lot of Tyler Lockett. Those guys flourish together, right?
Yeah.
So in fact, I'm not only going to, I want to pile on your take. I want to throw a little cherry on top of that Sunday there. I think that's a really good pick there. I would prefer Austin over Roman Wilson. I know it's a two-round ADP difference, but I think you're onto something there with Calvin Austin, especially if you're doing like a league where you don't have to set your lineup and guess the week Calvin Austin's going to go 4 for 104 and 2.
Yeah, and I didn't realize this. Maybe he just plays bigger than he is. Calvin Austin, 5'9", 160. I mean, that's like Tez Johnson. I thought he was a lot bigger than that.
Yeah, he's small. He was, realize he blazed the combine, which is why he had some hype. Like he should at 160, right? But
you have to,
right? Yeah.
If you don't blaze the combine, you go in the 7th round like Tez Johnson did,
right?
So.
Right. Oh, you sound bitter over that one.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, I remember all this hype, and you remember all this hype after the Senior Bowl on Tez Johnson, that he was just destroying these corners, that nobody could cover him or whatever. And then he runs like a 7-second 40 at the combine. It's like, oh, okay, well, maybe. And this guy I've eaten meals heavier than him, so he should be blazing, and he wasn't.
What's a normal man like us run the 40? Like, what would be our 40 time? I don't even know what that would be.
You know what's funny about this is I was at the draft in Green Bay a few weeks ago, and I was walking back to my car after the festivities ended on day 3. And Green Bay is not, it's 100,000 people. It's not that big. I'm walking down the street, a sidewalk, and who's coming to me? 4 guys in suits. It's Joel Klatt, it's Daniel Jeremiah, it's Rich Eisen on a city street in Green Bay. This would never happen in New York or Chicago or anything. Right. So I stopped, I got a picture, and I was talking with Rich Eisen or whatever. Yeah, it was very cool.
Very cool.
And I looked at Rich Eisen because we've seen him do the run Rich run thing every year, and he's obviously not fast. That guy would cook me in a 40. Right. After I saw what I look like and what he looks like, I'd be dead. So I am not the average when it comes to 40s. I mean,
I bet average is schlumps like us, man. Yeah, schlumps like us. Yeah, not average man, the average schlump.
If I'm in the single digits, I'm happy.
So you're thinking like a 9.4.
9.4. You know what's funny is I in high school when I was playing football, I did run the 40, and I feel like I was in like the somewhere around 5, I think, and now it's twice that, and I was never a fast guy. So,
dude, I don't want to tear an ACL, so I'm never gonna find out.
Oh no, yeah, that's the thing. Like I have moved past that point in my life. It's just not worth it. Okay. Cam Skattebo. Let's talk about him. I don't know how we get from that to Cam Skattebo, but we're going to do it. Connor Hughes, who covers the Giants for SNY, said he would not be surprised if Skattebo wound up as the third down back for the Giants this year, when we've seen a lot of helium for Skattebo potentially being the lead back over Tyrone Tracy this year. If we look at the ADP and how FFPC players are treating these guys right now, we see Cam Skattebo at running back 29. We see Tyrone Tracy at running back 33. So very close together. They're separated by a few picks when it comes to the Giants running backs. Alan, volume drafters are going to split these guys down the middle. Probably, I would think the majority of them. You only had one draft, or you only had a few drafts. Who's the guy that you would rather bet money on as being the better fantasy producer this year between Skattebo and Tracy?
Yeah, it's funny that Connor Hughes said, that he thinks that Skattebo is going to be the pass catching back, because even though he did have, what did he have, like 45 receptions, which is amazing in college, right? But it's like all the hype on Cam Skattebo was that he's a good, tough goal line runner, right? That he can't be brought down. And Tyrone Tracy, though he didn't catch a lot of passes last year, he was like a converted wide receiver, like an Antonio Gibson type. So if we take all that, it should be Tyrone Tracy is the third down back, and Cam Skattebo is like the thunder part. Listen, I want to draft Cam Skattebo. I liked him before the draft. I mean, a lot of people liked him, but when you look at the people plunking down $1,000 on FFPC, like the professional drafters, they don't think like that. They think like Tyrone.
Some of them do. Some of them definitely do.
You know what I'm talking about? The guys who win. Guys who win, like every year, like they pick like the Joe Mixon, the Mike Evans, just the boringest people, and then like you're like, that guy won again. Jesus Christ, you know what I'm saying? Of course, you got to take some upside shots, but like those. I like being a boring drafter. I think Tyrone Tracy's he's the incumbent. He's the guy that understands the playbook, the pass blocking stuff. Cam Skattebo's gonna be great, and the ADP, it's right there. Nobody knows for sure. He's the sexier pick. I personally would take Tracy if I had $1,000 on the line, but if I'm in one of home league, $100 league, I'm going to take Skattebo because it's more fun and there's more upside.
You know what? I like the idea of Skattebo here, and not so much. I don't think I would apply this to Tracy. I think this just applies to Skattebo. If I start my draft off with Etienne, Jeanty, Derrick Henry, like one of these, right, top tier running backs, but then I hit it again, right? I hit it again with like Chase Brown or Josh Jacobs or whatever. And then I wait, then I pound receivers and get like 3 or 4 receivers, maybe a tight end in there. And all of a sudden it's round 8 and I only have 2 running backs. I like the idea of Skattebo as my third running back with these 2 behemoths at the top when I'm already set at receiver, or I should be set at receiver. And I'm set at tight end. I like that team construction there with Skattebo as my number 3 there.
Yeah, that's how you do it, right? Like he's an upside player. But Tracy, it seems like he's got a high floor because he's already done it in the NFL. I mean, these guys are most likely going to share work. They're probably we're going to project each one for 14 and a half touches opportunities per week.
Yes, but I would also contend that these guys do not make it through the season healthy. So there's going to be like a 2 or 3 week window for one or maybe both these guys where they're going to be flirting with like top 12 stats for those weeks. Yeah, and that's how you can really take control of your league.
Yeah. So one bullet, one draft, and you're on forget, like say your build is even, you have to pick. I mean, I'm going Tracy. Who are you going with here?
I'm going Skattebo. You just sold me on Skattebo because of how much more fun it is.
Right.
It's supposed to be fun.
Right. And there's more upside.
Fun. And there's more upside. Yeah. Well, he's the mystery box, right? Yeah. Like we kind of know what Tracy is. We have no idea what Skattebo is going to be in the pros, which I think makes it so compelling.
I mean, but like I saw those playoff games, he looks like he's going to translate. Yeah.
And that's the thing is I don't want to double count that because I did not watch a lot of Arizona State football last year.
No.
But I saw him in the college football playoff, and it's like, God, this guy is an absolute man. So,
cannot unsee it.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Christian McCaffrey is a guy that, according to Klay Kubiak, who is the Niners offensive coordinator, he looks awesome. And the plan is to get the ball to McCaffrey as much as they can this season. Alan, I would contend that if I had McCaffrey in a dynasty league, or if I drafted McCaffrey in a best ball league, I do not want him getting the ball as much as the Niners can get it to him. I want him being healthy for the entire season. I don't want to see a 350 touch season for McCaffrey. Now, maybe if I'm drafting in the Big Gorilla, the main event, or FFPC best ball tournament, if I'm soaking a early second round pick into him, okay, then maybe I know how I stand on that. But I think like less is more with McCaffrey. I don't want to see him being pounded into the ground. I want to see guys like Jordan James out there. And who's the other guy?
Garendo.
Garendo, a former Wisconsin Badger.
Yeah.
I want to see him being worked in a lot. I don't want to see McCaffrey's at the point of his career where you want to keep him on the field and upright. You don't want to be pounding him 25, 30 times a game.
Right. You want to see like the Alvin Kamara role from him.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be perfect. Yes.
Right. I don't have the stomach to take him in the first round. I know you said his ADP is like in that mid-second, but
202 right now. So almost the turn.
That sounds like right. I'm seeing him go 111, right? In leagues where like people have to set lineups and again, if you're going to take him at 202 and you want him, you might as well take him at 111. I just don't have the stomach for it, right? After last year, like we were jokingly calling him Christian McCaff injury last year, right? Like it was, I mean, it was in the summertime, there was bad energy, bad vibes around him. And that can't be your first round pick. Like if you're on the clock and you're like Nico Collins or Christian McCaffrey, because we all know McCaffrey actually can win. We joke around with the term league winner when we do all this, like when fantasy football content, like McCaffrey actually is that player, right? Like he's already been the number one overall player in fantasy football in single quarterback league. So yeah, I mean, I just got him in a dynasty league. I told you that startup that I'm doing right now because he fell to like the 9th round in a super flex. I mean, how do you not? Yeah. So that's easy. So I'm scared to death not to take him, and I'm scared to death to take him. I believe the hype on him right here that they're going to feed him. This is, he's always been an outlier player for his size. And I mean, I guess he was a top 12 draft capital player. So yeah, I'll be in at some point if I'm volume drafting, but not in like any important high money leagues.
Let's do a quick would you rather. Would you rather, and these are all guys that are going after McCaffrey in the FFPC Big Gorilla right now. Alan, would you rather have Christian McCaffrey or Devon Achane?
Oh, that's the perfect one. So I'm going to say McCaffrey there.
Okay. McCaffrey or Derrick Henry?
I'm a big dog, King Henry guy. I'd take him above a lot of players.
McCaffrey or Jonathan Taylor?
That's a good one. I'm going to go McCaffrey. We've already seen way more upside.
I would too. That's why I take him with the upside. And I think we've reached our limit here. McCaffrey or Bucky Irving?
Yeah, I'm not a Bucky guy at his price, but I respect that, what he did. So it's cross positionally. Let me give you one: McCaffrey or Brian Thomas. First picking, you're on the clock at 112.
I'm taking Brian Thomas.
Yeah, let me give you one more.
Well, but hold on. But if I'm at 112, then I could take Thomas, and then I could take McCaffrey at the 201.
Well, it's first round reversal. Just kidding.
First round reversal. Where the hell's that been? All these years.
So let me give you a more realistic situation. Then you're at the 202. McCaffrey's there. Him or Drake London?
If I took
you took Brian Thomas in the first round.
Yeah, I'll go with McCaffrey then.
Okay. Or in this one, you took Bijan Fell to for some reason.
Then I go London. Okay. I think because I don't know how you feel about this, but especially when I'm on the ends, I like to be flexible as far as position goes. So if the value falls to me at running back, I can take them. If the value falls, like if I already have 3 receivers and there's this unbelievable receiver to me in the 4th round, I can't really. I have to get some running backs there. Right. So it's tough to do that.
Like back in the days, going back about 15 years when 20 running backs went in the first 24 picks, there was a little bit of a cheat code on the 1-2 turn to take the 2 best receivers, Demaryius Thomas and Calvin Johnson or Randy Moss and whoever it was, right? Like that was the cheat code. So yeah, I mean, now it's like then you were like locked into taking running back later. So I like that you pointed out, if you can split it, then you have 2 paths. Whereas if you double tap, you're going to feel like you're chasing another position. That's a really good thing to point out.
Yeah, and I don't mind like I think I would double tap if I was in the middle, like if I was in like the 6, 7, 8, so like somewhere there. Like
the middle is always easier.
Yeah, it's easier to do it then. But if you're on the ends, man, like you are kind of effed if the draft does not fall the way that you hope. And I'm not smart enough to figure out how the draft is going to fall when 20-some picks have to go by before I pick again. I'm not smart enough to do that. Yep. Jeremy Fowler from ESPN, Alan, reports that there's a lot of people within the NFL that believes that the new regime, Gladstone and Cohen, Duval, are not so high on Travis Etienne in Jacksonville. And what more evidence do we need than them drafting Bashal Tutin and drafting LaQuint Allen? So you have a four-headed monster in Jacksonville. I would contend to you that this four-headed monster, even as early as October, might be a two-headed monster. Yeah. I think like Bigsby's fine, but I don't know like if he's going to be a difference maker for fantasy. I'm pretty much reserved that Travis Etienne is just, he needs to be traded because there is nothing for him in Jacksonville. I think Tutin is being underdrafted both in rookie drafts and in redrafts right now. And I think LaQuint Allen should be, I drafted him in a couple of early best ball drafts this year. I think he's underrated too as a potential pass catcher. You think about this Jacksonville offense, man, with Liam Cohen in charge, and now you have Travis Hunter, who's going to be playing a lot of receiver. This is a potential, and I don't want to overrate it because sometimes we do this. We're like, God, everything is going to go right for this offense this year. It is still a new head coach, new GM, new offense, new everything. You add all these pieces in there, and it could go wrong. But, man, I'm really bullish on Jacksonville right now, but not Bigsby and definitely not Etienne.
Yeah, this is one of those things where I have a fully baked take on this one already, right? Like it's, I'm with you. Let's start with that, right? Like, you know, all these teams now are making like these 13-minute YouTube videos about the draft, right? Like I don't know if you've seen all this content, like you can get in the Browns locker room, but the Jacksonville one, they showed like the interview with Gladstone, the new young GM. Was he like 31 years old, 34 years old, right? And part of his pitch to get the job, Balky, was that he said, part of my plan is I want to draft this guy, Bashal Tutin, in the third or fourth round. I know he went in the fourth. And this is, and like he used Tutin's name to go to as part of his plan to get the job. So, I mean, then you bring over the obvious print from Tampa Bay last year, right? With Liam Cohen. I mean, former failed number one pick or disappointing number one pick, Baker Mayfield. He revives him. Former failed or disappointing number one pick, Trevor Lawrence. Brian Thomas. Obviously, no one has any questions about him. Travis Hunter looks like he's going to be, have the potential to be the most athletic player in the history of the game. And now you have a fourth-round running back. Hello? Didn't we just do this with Bucky Irving? Right? Like, yes, Boggy. I've been taking Tutin at the 203 in drafts, right? Like when I have that pick. So I know he's going 2.7, 2.8. I'm trading up and I'm giving, I'm with you on all of that. He has a chance. Now, I don't like to use this term league winner, but he actually has that in him, right? With the speed, the potential upside of the offense. I've been taking Trevor Lawrence a lot. I like that you said, because I can't find anyone here to get on board with the Jacksonville offense and Trevor Lawrence. Man, I have, even though you don't have to take him here, I have Trevor Lawrence as my QB 7 or 8 this year.
Yeah, I mean, like I got him. I took, I think it was a Kentucky main event. I took Justin Fields as my starter, and I was just going to wait on quarterback, and I did. And Trevor Lawrence is still out there, and I think that's a good, to borrow Andrew Cooper's phrase, this is a good yin and yang pairing between Fields and Lawrence. Lawrence, I just like, I don't understand how you put all this talent around him, and then he's still quarterback 15 or 16. Like it's
because he's failed. He's disappointed many times already, right? Like he's now in the part of his career where it's like, you have to see it first to actually, for it to happen. Yeah.
Let me ask you this regarding Tutin. I was on the clock at the 2, and I just brought the draft board up right now because I want to make sure I'm getting this right. I was on the clock at the 2:04. And I remember I was at a Kentucky Derby party, and I was hemming and hawing. Everybody else is having a great time. And like, Balky, what's wrong? I'm like, I got to figure out this dynasty pick. Just leave me the hell alone. And so I was on the clock. I didn't need a running back. I didn't need a receiver. This was purely like, who do I go with? And I was texting a bunch of people. I texted 5 people. All 5 of them said, don't take Bashal Tutin, take Trey Harris. So I took Trey Harris over Tutin, and I've kind of been regretting it ever since. That because I see the path, right? I see the path for Tutin being as early as next year, a top 10 redraft running back.
Devon Etienne. That's
Yeah. And like Trey Harris, he could be fine. Like Quentin Johnston does not scare me. And the corpse of Mike Williams does not scare me. But Ladd McConkey to me is the number 1 there. So I passed up on a potential number 1 running back for a team in favor of, like, in my opinion, at a ceiling, a number 2 wide receiver on a run first team in Los Angeles. This is why you go with your gut, because I had 5 idiots telling me Hey, take Trey Harris. Trey Harris, and apologies to Mason Spain. I'm sure he's watching this right now. He's a really accomplished dynasty player, and he sold me on it.
He screwed you.
Well, maybe, but we'll see. But
Yeah.
so if I had that pick over, I probably would have taken Tootin. Over Harris.
Yeah, and this sounds like it was an early draft too, when Tootin was dripping into the third round. Now forget it, right? Like that was at the 204. I was at the 204. But I'm saying Tootin was going so far back in the ADP, he wouldn't have been even like now. He goes to the 208, 207, 209, taking him at the 203. You would just do it. You know what I'm saying? Like you wouldn't think about it. But when his, in the applet, when he's so far down, his ADP was like 304, 301. That's when it makes it a tougher decision. But there was this thing that you did when you called 5 people. There was this great old movie with Richard Dreyfuss called Let It Ride, and it's a degenerate gambler horse racing movie, and he does this thing where he goes and asks all the gamblers, all the degens, what horse they like. And as they tell him what horse they like, he crosses them off. And then he wins because he does the opposite of what everyone's telling him to do. That's what he should have done when they were telling you to. And by the way, Harris should be fine, right? Like, I mean,
well, he's fine, but I want the home run, Alan.
Right.
That's the thing.
And that's again, Etienne from his rookie year is the best example of that, right? Like he was going in the second round of drafts. He was a third round running back. Tootin's a early fourth. And now he's a top 5 dynasty and obviously even a top 6 or 5 redraft back.
By the way, RIP to Robbie Coltrane and Terry Carr, who were both in Let It Ride with Richard Dreyfuss. Cynthia Nixon from Sex and the City fame was in that movie.
So you know the movie, you know it.
No, I'm reading it on Wikipedia. And Jennifer Tilly from Family Guy, Liar Liar. She's done a ton of stuff. She was in that movie as well.
Let It Ride is, if you love sport, you said you love horse racing, Kentucky Derby Party.
I wouldn't say I love horse racing, but I do enjoy the action.
Yes, and you should watch Let It Ride. Great movie from 1988 or something.
89. Good call. Yeah. Can you guess what the Rotten Tomatoes score is on it?
Oh my God. I'm going to say, just because you said it like that, I'm assuming it's low. I would have said like 8.1, but now that you said that, it's probably what, 6.1?
No, it's higher. It's 27%. 27%.
Oh, 20. Right. That's how they do it. Yeah. But that's not a good score though.
No, it's not. It's a bad score. Score. Richard Dreyfuss after Jaws, I never really made it a point to watch anything he did. And that could be a mistake on my part, but he was in Was he in American Graffiti, or am I making that up?
No, wasn't that Harrison Ford? Was he?
Well, okay. Harrison Ford was in it. I thought Richard Dreyfuss was in it too.
I have to go back. I used to, my high school job was I worked in a mom and pop video store. So I've seen a lot of movies. You remember mom and pop video stores?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I still have one down the street, but it's been closed for a while.
Yeah.
We're down to one Blockbuster in the country.
Is it still open?
I think it is in Oregon.
Yeah. This is before the mom and pop video stores were before the Blockbuster era.
Oh, this is like small business.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember the cowboy doors in the back?
Well, yeah, because I was never allowed to go back there.
For those who are listening, those were the X-rated movies.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
He was in American Graffiti. Richard Dreyfuss was in American Graffiti, as well as Harrison Ford as well. But as far like after Jaws, and Stand By Me, I guess was pretty good, but he was hardly in that.
Right, he was the narrator.
Wasn't he? Yeah. So whatever. I don't know how we got here. It's Scott. Where the hell is Scott Pianowski? He should be on this broadcast.
Oh, dude,
he would be crushing all this stuff right now.
My favorite.
Correcting all the stuff we're getting wrong about movies. Play the FFPC Best Ball and Superflex Best Ball Tournament. $300,000, $100,000 grand prize. $100,000 runner-up prize in the Best Ball Tournament. Drafts available 30-second, 60-second, 2-hour, and 6-hour clocks. If you like what Alan and I are talking about tonight, if you want to put that to good use, go to myffpc.com, myffpc.com. Let's take a quick break. Let's catch our breaths. When we come back, I want to talk about all the downsides. We're going to be this is the Debbie Downer segment of the show tonight. We're going to talk about how all these rookie picks can go wrong, and you're going to regret all the rookie picks you have made over the last couple of weeks in your drafts. And if you traded your picks away, you're probably going to feel pretty good. Stick around. Alan Seslowsky from RotoWire and SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio is joining me tonight. Eric Balkman on Insider Access on the Better Sports Network.
What's up, guys? Andrew Cooper here of Fantasy Alarm. And for me, the football season never sleeps. It doesn't. I don't care if the Super Bowl's over. I'm still rocking and rolling. And the best way to do that is with Dynasty Fantasy Football, because you can play all year round and you can get started right now. You can go in and play 2 different ways at myffpc.com. You can do a startup draft where you can go in and draft all the players from scratch and load up on rookie picks, especially if you like this rookie class. You want, Cam Ward or Ted McMillan. You can load up on those picks, get all those players, lock them in for the rest of their careers, or you can go over and play a different way. You can pick up an orphan team. Sometimes people decide they don't want to play. FFPC will never fold those leagues. They just put those teams back up, and you can bid on them. You can pick them up and take over those teams, right? You check out what kind of picks they have, what kind of players they have. Sometimes you can even get a discount. Just make sure it's a team you like, grab them, and you're off and running. And then you're ready for this draft when it comes around at the end of April here. MyFFPC.com. If you've never played, use promo code ALARM. They'll give you $25 when you deposit $35 or more for your first time. And you can go get set up. You can do a startup. You can pick up an orphan team. You can start playing Dynasty right now, the game that never sleeps, the game that goes all year round.
Welcome back to Insider Access here on the Better Sports Network, presented by the Fantasy Football Players Championship. I'm Eric Balkman. He is Alan Seslowsky from RotoWire and SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. I want to remind you that Alan is an expert on Dynasty stuff, and we're going to get into a lot of Dynasty stuff here in the next half hour. Pick up a Dynasty startup team today over at myffpc.com. The entry fee, you can, if you want to enter it for $100, you want to enter for $5,000, everything in between. We have the price point for you. 1,800 plus leagues. Over the last decade and a half, none have ever folded. MyFFPC.com is where to go. MyFFPC.com. Dom Gazzetti, by the way, Alan, chiming in on YouTube right now. What about Bob? That was an underrated film.
Oh, yeah. I saw that in the comments. So that was such a good call out right there. I mean, good movie, solid comedy. They don't make 80s comedies like that anymore.
It's weird that Dreyfuss was never
90s.
He was never, because I feel like he could have done that a few times. Or he's the straight man to Bill Murray or some comedian. Like, he was so good as the exasperated straight man in that movie. It was fantastic.
I mean, you said you never watched anything with him after Jaws. I mean, I love Dreyfuss. I think he's I shouldn't say I've never seen anything with him after Jaws, right. But for me, like after, and he wasn't even all that great in Jaws. I thought he was fine. You're hot taking right now. He was all Hooper was not good in Jaws. He
was. Well, listen, Robert Shaw stole the show in that. Roy Scheider was the star, I guess. No. But Robert Shaw was just he might have won an Oscar for that if I remember correctly. But
the character of Quint
was fantastic. And he was it was tremendous.
Jaws is like an all-time top 10 movie for you, I'm assuming, right?
I can't put it out of it. Yeah, I mean, I'd have to really sit down and make my top 10. There's now you probably don't know this about me, Alan, but I went to school and I double majored in journalism, and my second major was radio, TV, film. And and I'm embarrassed to say this, the amount of great films that I have not seen, it's seemingly an infinite list, right?
Well, I did know that about you, by the way, because I heard you talking about it on the podcast.
That's true. Yeah.
So I did know that about
podcast.
You.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think, like, as much as I want to say, like, oh, this is the best, there's so much I haven't seen. I have so many holes, I can't really say it. But as far as like my top 10 movies of all time, I don't think I could find 10 better ones than Jaws.
Right. At least if I, top 15, top 20, whatever it is, it's up there.
It's up there. It's what, and I always gauge it, and maybe I shouldn't gauge it this way. And I don't know if you do this, and I promise you we'll get to fantasy football in a second, audience.
Okay.
If I'm flipping through channels and I find a movie on, but it could be a guilty pleasure movie, and that's why I don't want to equate this. Like, it's like 20 years old now with Samuel L. Jackson and Colin Farrell. If SWAT is on, I'm watching it. I love it. Anything with Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer with Nicolas Cage,
right?
The Rock or 9mm wasn't.
What you're saying is because you were going to start by saying, I think, like anything that you stop channel surfing for is a great movie, but that could also be like a bad good movie or just like I love it. So it's hard to call it that. I understand.
But then another one that I think is a great movie, and not critically, it took a while for this to get the critical acclaim. Shawshank Redemption.
I mean, come on, that's
fantastic.
Mount Rushmore right there. Top 4.
Absolutely. By the way, Rushmore, another guilty pleasure movie and I know Pianowski would agree with me. He loves that movie for sure. Okay, let's get into fantasy football. I want to talk about, and for anybody who missed it, you can watch the RotoWire Dynasty podcast on YouTube. With you and at Charles Chill FFB, that's Scott Connor, who is actually, I think, going to be joining me on this show sometime next month.
He's the best. He's the best.
Has he ever talked to you about his podcast listening?
Yeah. I mean, but the 3x speed thing.
Yes, and he listens.
So
like
set it up for
your day. It's insane.
Set it up for your audience here. Like the guy we're referring to, who's going to be a guest on Balky's podcast here, listens to podcasts on 3x speed. I mean, to me, even 1.5, I can't do it. I know that I do it like when I'm just like flipping through TikTok or something. But man, just to like actually take in like the Bill Simmons podcast, like I couldn't listen to it at 1.5. That's crazy. And imagine 3.
And he's like, I think Bill Simmons, like his podcast, you kind of listen to for pleasure. Scott is listening to all these fantasy football podcasts,
right?
Not only for pleasure, but for like assimilating information, right?
Right.
I've drafted with him before in Louisville, where at the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship, and he will show up. He'll have his headphones on. He'll be drafting, still listening to these podcasts at 3.
Sick man.
It's a beautiful mind, right? Which is another great movie. That's what he is, and I don't know how he does it, but he does do it.
Maybe he's half like machine, half AI. You know.
Could be. He's got the Dick Cheney cyborg aspect to him. Like, I don't know.
That's a possible point. Yeah. I don't want to. I can keep tangenting, so I won't. I'll keep it on the road.
So can I. What we need is a driver on this, Alan. We're both the guys who want to veer it off the road.
It's a 2-hour podcast. We got to have a little side road thing going on here.
So what you guys did on the RotoWire Dynasty podcast was look at what if every single one of these rookies is a bust. Let's just look at the downside. Let's look at how bad these guys could be in your Dynasty rookie draft pick, which is something nobody's doing. And like, as far as podcasts go and content goes, that's something I'm always drawn to. Like, what is something that nobody's doing, nobody's talking about? You guys clearly have cornered the market on this. And I want to, and we don't have to go as deep as you did on this. But for me, I had the number 1 overall pick in one of my dynasty leagues this year. Non-super flex, I took Ashton Jeanty. Didn't really give it much thought. I didn't get any trade offers in, didn't send any trade offers out. Feel pretty good about Jeanty. Feel pretty good about him in redraft leagues as well this year. I thought his landing spot was fine. And I love the offensive line he's playing behind. I like the quarterback good enough. I like the supporting cast good enough that this guy is going to get catches. He's going to pile up the yardage. He's going to get the touchdowns. Now, to say he's a home run pick, I'm not willing to go that far. How did you guys pick at nits to try to find the holes in Ashton Jeanty's game, and why maybe you want to rethink him, whether you're taking him in a rookie draft still, or maybe in the first round of your redraft league?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, this one was the toughest one because he feels like he has such a high floor. I mean, if you look at like projections around the fantasy football industry, he's already like projected to lead the NFL in carries. I think at like 255 or 253. I mean, it's just, there's maybe Derrick, and I don't even think Derrick Henry's even close to that. So
that's aggressive to me for a Raiders running back to lead the league in carries.
I mean, there's nobody behind him right now. It's like Sincere McCormick and Raheem Mostert. I mean, they drafted him number 6. They already said that. I mean, again, I know it's just supposed to be the crap on the Jeanty, and we'll get to it. But yeah, I mean, there's just nothing behind him. And you take him in the top 6, they're ready to run the wheels off him. They're not saving him for the second contract. Pete Carroll might be dead by then. You know what I'm saying? It's like
when they traded for Geno Smith, they want to win right now.
Right. So that's his Marshawn Lynch, right? But downside, right? Jonathan Taylor's rookie year, right? It wasn't great. I mean, he was the first running back taken. He was the consensus. Well, if Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I guess, was in that conversation as well. But Ashton Jeanty, if he comes out the gate slow, if they sign Nick Chubb, right? If they sign J.K. Dobbins, I mean, he has till July to try to get out there. If they get another credible veteran, and we've seen a lot of these 101, high pedigree running backs, he's going in the first round of FFPC, right? Like, I mean, you're having to take him with a top 10, 12 pick. I mean, I was taking him at like pick 7.
109 in the FFPC Big Gorilla right now.
Yeah, there it is. The guys that are plunking down their money. And if he gives you Jonathan Taylor's rookie season, you're not happy, right? You're expecting Saquon Barkley's season for that part. So yeah, 253 carries. Maybe another 30, 40 catches the projection. But if it's a slow start, they add a veteran. I think that, again, that's not like serious like thing right there, but that is a possibility. He's just such a bust-proof player. It's hard to pick holes in him, but that would be the downside for Jeanty, that, he delivers you like third round value.
And at that point, you're getting a double, but you're investing a home run price.
Right. Yeah, and you forewent Malik Neighbors to take him. I mean, that's the problem.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like Neighbors, Nakua, Brian Thomas, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Trey McBride, and tight end premium leagues, they're all going behind Jeanty. So if you want to take Jeanty, hey, that's fine, but your convictions have to be strong.
He's the hardest one to talk about downside with.
Okay, well, this guy should be a little bit easier because unlike Jeanty, Omarion Hampton has Najee Harris to contend with in the backfield. Now, the Chargers do have a really good offensive line. They have a head coach that loves to run the football. They have an offensive coordinator that, as an alternative to running the football, he likes to run the football. So everything should be pointing up for Harris and Hampton here. But maybe because it's pointing up for Harris, that may mean that it's not completely wheels up for Omarion Hampton. Your thoughts on the downside of Omarion Hampton here for the Chargers?
Yeah, you talked about with the Giants running backs that like if and when one of them missed like 2 or 3 weeks, wheels up for the other. Najee Harris doesn't miss games, Balky.
He is the most consistent guy out there. Really,
never missed a game in his NFL career.
Yeah.
I mean, he's on his second contract, has never missed an NFL game. So the chance you could say, okay, the injury's coming. I don't think so, man. Some guys just understand their body's just built differently, right? You remember, it's like Derrick Henry was indestructible until he had that one injury. But so we're okay. If we're going to say that Najee's probably a lock to play 14 and a half, 15 games, that means the upside is capped for Omarion Hampton, who's being drafted as like the second rookie running back off the board. I've seen him go as high as the 3rd or 4th round. Where's he going right now in Gorilla?
402 as running back 14.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like there's a chance that like, you know, that he starts off like really slow, like where he has like 6 or 7 touches in week 1, that maybe if he misses a pass blocking assignment in week 1, forget it. Right? Like it's to the pass blocking is how you get on the field. And we were talking about our friend Scott Connor. He put me onto this. There's this crazy, very rarely used tag that the Chargers used on J.K. Dobbins. He had So you're aware of this. Basically, if he doesn't go get a deal, he's back on the Chargers. J.K. Dobbins had 9 touchdowns last year, about 800 yards. Like that's a huge chunk of the pie to take out. And if Omarion Hampton is no longer in a committee of 2, we don't mind that. A committee of 3 with a veteran like Dobbins. Now we're talking about a player that should be drafted in like the 7th, 8th, or 9th round, not the 3rd round. So not only do I think there's serious downside and risk with Omarion Hampton, I think there's like a 40% chance that scenario that we just bore out happens.
Fantasy football should be fun, and certainly it is fun to take Hampton at the 402 right now. But bear in mind that these old, decrepit senior citizens that are going behind Hampton in drafts, like Alvin Kamara, like Joe Mixon. Kenneth Walker is not a senior citizen, but he's a veteran. Those guys are all going behind Hampton. You might be better served taking the old crusty veteran over Hampton at this point. James Cook also going behind Hampton, but I don't really like Cook this year as well.
Well, you know, Cook's going to fall even lower because of the contract dispute, right? If that starts getting a little bit more public.
Okay, but here's the thing. He is being pumped up so much right now based on his touchdowns last year, and I'm like, and these are, you know, this is not, we always call it tourist season with the FFPC.
That's
when
funny.
Everybody starts drafting in August, you know, or whatever, when they wake up from, you know, not paying attention to fantasy football since December. These should be the sharper drafters out there right now. And listen, there's not everybody's a sharp drafter, that's for sure. But it should be the sharp drafters. And James Cook is still going as running back 15. Alan, with all the touch, I mean, like you put his touchdown stats to a normal level from 2024. He's not going this high, and it boggles my mind. And you're right. I mean, the contract thing should be driving him down. What should be driving him down is people realizing that touchdowns are not a sticky stat, and he should be going at running back 15.
Yeah, no, and they just didn't draft anybody too, so that's the problem. Like they have, So, but yeah, Hampton, man, I've done, you know, between all of the different platforms and FFPC and, you know, so even mock drafts, I have 0 Hampton because I am scared to death of the price and the serious capped upside. I know it's a first round running backs can't miss. I have no problem with him being 102 in Superflex rookie drafts, but man, this year I would take Tootin. I would rather have Tootin straight up on Jacksonville over Omarion Hampton. Hold on.
Okay, in redraft. Okay, I get that.
Redraft.
If you're in a dynasty Superflex draft and a rookie draft, and Jeanty goes 101, you have the 102. You're still taking Hampton?
Hunter.
Okay, so at what point would you take Hampton in a dynasty superflex?
3.
Rookie draft. 3. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're fine with him at 3.
Yeah.
We'll get into Travis Hunter in a second. Let's talk about TreVeyon Henderson to round up our running back discussion here. TreVeyon Henderson is a player that went to New England, which has an up-and-coming offense, but it still has Ramondre Stevenson. Now, if you remember last year, Antonio Gibson was actually getting on the field more and more and putting Ramondre Stevenson on the bench more and more. Stevenson had a whimper end to the season, and Gibson was on the uptick. Now you have TreVeyon Henderson, who probably can do everything, including pass blocking. Just asked Indianapolis Colts GM Chris Ballard, who didn't even draft this guy, who just starts randomly talking about how good of a pass blocker TreVeyon Henderson is. So I think Henderson is very, very interesting here. I drafted him as my 3rd running back in a
startup.
No, not a dynasty. My 3rd running back on a redraft KFFSC main event. So redraft league. Took him as my 3rd running back, and then kind of focused on other positions after that. I drafted him with confidence ahead of Stevenson. Stevenson went way below Henderson. So I think, I always say, Alan, the NFL, it's a young man's game, especially at the running back position. I have full confidence in Henderson. You are about to tell me why I should not have full confidence in TreVeyon Henderson.
I mean, the Patriots just gave Ramondre Stevenson an extension, right? Like, he's invested in, he's going to be there. He's a good pass catcher, Ramondre Stevenson, right? Like, that was shocked a lot of people. So he's the entrenched veteran. Now, does he have his warts on him? And, Henderson's a serious threat to his workload. But TreVeyon Henderson, man, if you're playing in like Dynasty Keeper, he's like a top 10 already valued. You're talking about the price is decent in redraft. I haven't landed on him yet. And yes, the pass blocking, the prolific pass blocking will get him on the field here. But also, I mean, I know we like New England as an upstart team, but are you predicting them to get 10 wins? I think that Henderson, right? Like, it's which Ohio State running back, right? Do you remember the old days of Sony Michel and Nick Chubb, right? Like, I mean, that was the Georgia running backs. One of them was great in the NFL. I mean, Sony was okay, but, Rashad Penny, a former 1st-round running back, all that to say, I know Henderson was like an early 2nd-round pick. I just think that everyone likes him. The downside is, though, that he is with an entrenched veteran that was just given an extension, and that not that he's not going to be good, but I think he's being treated as if he's already accomplished being a top 10 running back. And what if he's DeAndre Swift? Just it takes a little time for him to get used to it. So the price on Henderson is okay. In Dynasty startup drafts, I'm not willing to pay like RB8 for him. I'm just going to let somebody else take him there. So I think that Henderson is a solid pick, and everyone likes him. So, I'm always a little bit wary when I see what's the downside here is that he's with Stevenson.
And that all makes sense. And I don't want to dwell on Henderson because I want to get to Travis Hunter. The most talked about, Alan, rookie in 10 plus years in fantasy football. I think that considering we didn't know where he was going to go, and then we didn't know how he was going to be used. I just looked back on this in the KFFSC in the $1,000 entry big payback draft I did on Super Bowl Sunday. I got Travis Hunter on a whim, on a lark. I got him at this would have been the 901. So the 8-9 turn. And I'm thrilled with that going forward. He is my wide receiver 5 on this team. It certainly seems like he is going to be playing mostly at wide receiver this year, catching passes from what seems to be a fairly competent quarterback and what seems to be a pretty brilliant offensive mind as his head coach. But there are some warts here. Yeah. What's the downside of Travis Hunter for 2025?
Yeah, the obvious one is if he plays a little bit more defense than we're expecting, right? Like if it's like at this point, it's so funny because when the draft season started, it was that he's going to be a primary cornerback. He was doing cornerback drills. And now it's that the market sentiment on Travis Hunter in all formats, redraft, the dynasty keeper, is that he's going to play only offense. Mm-hmm. Look, they brought him in here to learn the NFL. He might play both sides of the ball. So what if he's splitting his time and only playing like 18 snaps on offense to start, 18 on defense to start? They have a slow roll coming up. If his, it just takes him a minute to learn the NFL route tree. By all accounts, he's a great athlete, but maybe he's not a polished runner. So he's getting drafted in the 4th round of a lot of these drafts now. I'm seeing Bulky, right? That's basically where you're seeing him in ADP. Yeah. And there's a lot of risk there. There's a lot of upside, which I get, but I think the main downside, if he plays more defense than we're thinking, even if it's like 70-30, meaning like the percentage of snaps.
I thought it was 4th round. It's 508 right now in the big.
I've been taking him in like the end of the 4th. Like he doesn't get out of the 4th round when I'm there. So maybe I'm a little biased because like
it could be, yeah. Sutton, Metcalf, Devonta Smith right in front of him. Zay Flowers, Jerry Jeudy, Jalen Waddle right behind him. Jalen Waddle, a noted player that Alan Seslowsky likes this year.
Do you agree, Hunter? Like if the downside is like this is like a serious red flag. Like we are convinced at this point that it's only offense. I mean, if he goes out there and has like a pick 6 in week 1, you think they're just gonna like play him less on defense? It's like
no, I don't necessarily think they play him less.
Right.
I just think that if they have a plan. And they're going to stick to the plan. You know, Heath Ledger. It's all part of the plan.
And then remember, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
They get punched in the mouth, Mike Tyson. Yeah. No, but I would be of the opinion if Hunter is doing plays and making plays like that on defense,
it's going to be more.
I don't think it would be as long. Here's the thing: if he's sucking it up on offense and he's just not involved, then yeah. There is the risk there where that you run that. They're like, okay, listen, this guy's crushing it on defense. We got to get him out there more. I don't necessarily think that's going to happen when you consider all the time and effort that Gladstone and Cohen put in to try to figure out how are we going to use this guy. They traded up for him. This is their plan that they have for him.
For the record, I'm Travis Hunter to the moon. Like you know what I'm saying? Like I told you, I would take him at 102 in dynasty rookie drafts. He's not getting out of the 4th round when you're drafting with me. But we're trying to take a like, what if things go wrong approach to this? Like, yes, everything you said is probably the correct, right? Yeah. So, but if he plays more defense, which we're not really considering right now.
Well, and I guess to your point, what happens if he's making plays on defense and Brian Thomas is catching a dozen touchdowns, and Bashal Tutin is running roughshod, and Brenton Strange is catching 7-8 passes a game, and Hunter's really not doing anything on offense. It's like
a lot of mouths to feed, right?
Yeah, like let's just play this guy on defense. And so I do think that there is like it's higher than a non-zero chance, but I get where you're going with that. And it makes
it's just
sense.
a thought exercise. I don't believe it in the least. I don't want to get quoted, but yes, there is a case for that. We just have to think about that stuff, right? Like maybe like it's stupid for me to take him at 410 every time because I'm not even considering the downside. So I'm like talking myself through the case. Yeah. Maybe I should let him fall into the round before I take him.
Well, maybe not every time, but some of the time.
I've done enough 408s already, so it's maybe.
The Fisherman on YouTube. Travis Hunter has been injured the last few years. I worry he won't play a whole season. And yeah, I mean, playing both ways in the NFL, it's different than playing both ways at Colorado. So yeah. And that's the other thing, Alan, is we don't have any precedent for this. Like even Charles Woodson, some of these other guys that play both ways, Deion Sanders, they weren't playing both ways every single snap like Travis Hunter was in college. We just don't have anything to compare it to.
Yeah, no, he's a fun player. He's going to, even in casual leagues.
Going to be great. The IDP guys are just like, yes, this is why you play IDP, when you have a guy like Travis Hunter out there. Colston Loveland, let's move on to him. I remember I was at the draft in Green Bay. Alan, you may know this about me. I live in Northeast Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. So I made it a point to be in Green Bay. It was like a 25-minute drive. I was there for every single pick. It was absolutely awesome. And one of the picks that did, quite frankly, catch me off guard was this Loveland pick for the Bears. I knew it was possible that they would take a tight end. I knew it was possible that it might not be Tyler Warren, but actually hearing that, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is Ben Johnson's first ever draft pick as head coach of the Bears. And I know he's not making the pick. It's Ryan Poles who's making the pick, but he's still the head coach. Loveland, God, you got to love it. Even though they signed Kmet to that 3-year extension, even though they already had DJ Moore under contract, they already had Roma Dunze as a 9th overall pick last year. And then they draft Luther Burden in the second round on Friday in the NFL draft. So Loveland, obviously, his draft capital means a lot, and it shines here. But I think when you consider all the other factors and all the other pass catchers that Poles and Johnson have surrounded around Caleb Williams, maybe there is some downside to investing in Loveland, who, got top 15, top 10 draft capital for a tight end in the real NFL draft. There's a really good track record of tight ends succeeding when they have that. But when you consider that
Kyle Pitts,
well, I'm just saying it's not foolproof. And then when you consider that this draft wasn't deep at a lot of other positions, maybe that's why Warren and Loveland got. I think Sigmund Blumen was making that point. No. But when you consider that, okay, maybe it's a Fugazi top 15, top 10 NFL draft capital. Your thoughts on Loveland of maybe why this doesn't work out at the pro level?
Yeah, I mean, you made the case. I'm only going to add on to what you said here, but it's like, here, I'll give you like a real life example. If Balky, if I'm making you bet me $100, I'm going to let you pick which side, right? Like I'm forcing you to take $100 out of your pocket, put it on the table. I'm going to do the same. Who's going to have more fantasy points in September? Is it going to be Colston, Loveland, or is it going to be Zach Ertz?
I would take Ertz.
Right. You see my point here? Yeah. Like you're going to drop Loveland in redraft when you draft him, right? So you're going to take him in the, whatever round he's where's he going right now in FFPC?
Loveland in the FFPC, again, tight end premium, big gorilla tournament.
Tight end number what? Like,
take a guess.
I'm going to say that he's, is he tight end 11?
Oh, you are white hot. It is very close. Mark Andrews is tight end 11 at the 802. Colston Loveland, 804 at the tight end 12.
Right. Like you're going to drop him in week 3. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and because you're going to see Zach Ertz or Hunter Henry get a touchdown in each one of those weeks. And you're like, I can't take zeros. So that's the downside right here, that rookie tight ends traditionally, even if they're great, start slow, right? Like, and the problem is when you wed yourself to them too much, you hold on to guys that you shouldn't. That's like in the way to play tight end is either Bowers or McBride, or wait for the Jonnu, Evan Ingram tier. I mean, that's my opinion, I mean, or wait to the very end with, some of the dusty veterans we talked about. Betting on rookie tight ends. Yeah, sure. The Brock Bowers thing worked out, but look at Trey McBride. He as a rookie tight end, that was a disaster, right? Like you didn't want him on your team. It was year 2 or when he broke out. Sam Laporta had a good touchdown year, so that spoiled us. But Dalton Kincaid is most likely the outcome here. There is some serious downside with rookie tight ends in general. And man, you just talked about how they drafted Luther Burden and they still have other weapons on there. Not to mention, Caleb has upside, but man, is that like a little bit of a projection there? Now, they do have the good offensive coach with Ben Johnson, but man, my prediction is you're going to see a lot of Colston Loveland on the waiver wire by week 3.
In your rookie drafts, Alan, and I know Tyler Warren went after Loveland, but he still got top 15 draft capital. He goes to Indianapolis, which I know a lot of people, there are plenty of Colts fans who are like, oh, thank God we finally have a tight end. And all these Tyler Warren people that drafted him at best ball in January, February, March or whatever, they're like, no, not Indy. That's where tight ends go to die. We don't want to see him go there. So where do you fall in on Warren versus Loveland? Did you end up taking in your rookie drafts? Did you end up taking Warren over Loveland in any of them?
So I think the best way to play tight end, and is to not take those guys and then take your pick of the Mason Taylor tier,
Terrence
Ferguson, right?
Yeah.
And now
Royal,
yes, yeah, the round 2 guys, and then obviously deeper on is like the Harold Fannin type. But listen, if the first round guys have the better chance to produce sooner, but actually maybe Mason Taylor probably, because he's the projected starter for the Jets too. I mean, the setup isn't great with Justin Fields. So no, I have not. Now in some of these like super premium leagues, like where it's like 1.75 for the tight ends, I know FFPC is 1.5 points per reception. 1.5 doesn't always move the needle for me. That's why I'm always surprised that FFPC drafters like push those tight ends up. Like 1.5 PPR, it's like, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like enough to move them over some of the other players. So I have not taken those guys at the end of rookie drafts. I've been taking like the RJ Harveys or the Matthew Goldens, or I can't resist Jackson Dart in a super flex. Like there's just too much value there. So no, I haven't gotten any of those guys. And that does scare me a little bit. And I've seen them dropping, Balky. In rookie drafts, I see them dropping to like 201, 202. Yeah, they go as high as 111, 110. But man, it's like, you hear Eric Ebron, OJ Howard, like the history of the first round tight end is not good. If Loveland has Kyle Pitts' career, are you happy with that pick?
If he has Kyle Pitts' career, no, you're not.
Right. And that's
you're not. Yeah.
Yeah. Pitts has not been horrible.
Unless what you do, if he has Pitts' career, you sell him after year 1.
Right.
And then you're really happy.
Well, I think now the problem is we talk about like guys that have like year 1 insulation in long-term keeper leagues. I think that because of Kyle Pitts, he's spoiled. Like if Loveland and Warren don't fire quickly, they're going to lose a lot of dynasty value. Yeah. Whereas like when you're on the clock and you take Jackson Dart and he doesn't play for 6-7 weeks, he's worth more than what you paid right off the bat because you know it's coming.
Did I hit on all the bad parts about Warren, or is there anything else?
It's the quarterback, the quarterback play, right? Yeah. I mean, Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones, although when you're praying for Daniel Jones to be the starter, the guy who was playing on the scout team of the Giants before he was cut, when you're like, please let that be the guy, that's a real problem. So yeah, I think for Warren, that could be a short-term thing. You never know what happens next year, but in redraft, man, you don't want any part of that.
What about, and this is probably an easy case to make when it comes to the downside, Cam Ward, I think, I don't want to call him a victim of the moment, but this was a dude who took advantage of the moment, being the first overall pick of the 2025 draft in a year where the quarterback class was no bueno. You have Jalen Milroe, who could be the best quarterback out of this class, but he's got to learn how to throw the football. You have Shadur Sanders, who has to learn how to talk to people, apparently. You have Dylan Gabriel, who I believe is about the same height as my 11-year-old son. You have Tyler Shough, who I already said is collecting Social Security checks already, which is wild.
You should take this act on stage. This is good, Balky.
No, it's not. It's not an act. This is all real. I'm not making.
No, I meant like these jokes. Like this is good. This is good material right here. I have to say.
But I mean, this is how big these warts were on all these quarterbacks in this class. Cam Ward probably just had the smallest ones. Now, when you look at him being the number 1 overall pick for Tennessee, they've made an effort to surround him with some talent. Now, they already had a Okonkwo, they already had Ridley, they have the backfield of Pollard and Spears. They soak a couple of 4th-round picks into Alec Iamaner and Shamir DK. I don't know if that's enough. I think this is going to be a rough year for Cam Ward. I don't see, and you think about this too, Alan. Superflex dynasty rookie drafts, if there's a quarterback chosen with the 1st overall pick, they're usually the 1st overall pick, or at least top 2 or top 3 of those dynasty superflex drafts. I've seen Cam Ward tumble in those this year because there's not a lot of people who believe in him long term. And I'd be very interested to hear what you think about Cam Ward. We know how he could succeed, but let's hear how he could not succeed.
Right. I mean, do you remember the one of the worst things you could do in the NFL is push up the best quarterback to number 1 when it's not a number 1 overall quarterback? I think the best example of that, do you remember the year Sam Bradford?
That was
right. Like he was the best quarterback of the class, but he wasn't a great number 1 overall quarterback. He wasn't a bust.
And the other thing there to remember about that was before they had the rookie scale for contracts.
Right.
So he signed this incredible, egregious contract, which just blew my mind. And then I think the NFL was like, hey, we can't have these middling quarterbacks signing these deals before they've ever played a snap in the NFL. But please go on.
No, you make a good point, right? Like it's I think he's one of the he got one of the most bites out of the apple from contracts. Like of anybody, he was traded for 1st-round picks after he failed. That just goes to show you the power of the 101 when it's a quarterback, the insulation, right? It's very rare. Like Bryce Young was an exception, right? That he got benched. Yeah. Usually 101s don't get benched. They're made to play through those pains. So I'd say that Cam Ward, we know there's a high floor for 101s, but the downside is, like you said, is there any worse wide receiver room in the NFL? I can't think of one. Calvin Ridley is, there's literally, so he's set up with poor weapons. I mean, they do have 2 credible running backs with Tajay Spears and Tony Pollard. They could run a lot. And, Chico Okonkwo is a nice athlete, but there's a reason why, it's more, he's had big games. So lack of pass weapons, big run, they go heavy run, and Cam Ward is just a little bit lost out there. And he's not, like you said, he's not a typical 101. So you could see he's not getting drafted in single quarterback leagues. I see him out there on all the waiver wires. Mm-hmm. And if you took him in any sort of long-term league, or keeper league, you're happy because he's going to have plenty of opportunities. But I think the downside is probably QB 28 Like when you add up
lower. It might even be lower.
Yeah, well, he's as long as he's healthy, man, he's going to throw the ball 450 times, 500 times.
Who's the backup in Tennessee? Do we know?
Oh, yeah,
could he get the Bryce Young treatment this year?
I don't know.
Okay, listen. Are you looking it up? Because okay, you look it up because I want to say this too. And for anybody who thinks like, oh, well, okay, but think.
Will Levis. How did we not get that?
Levis, yeah, because they never traded him. I just assumed they were going to trade him.
Right.
Over the course of his 3 years at Washington State and Miami, 58, 144, and 204 yards. That was his rushing totals. Never averaged more than 4 yards of rushing attempts. So this guy, to me, he is not a threat with his legs. Yeah. And I can't remember. God, I wish I remembered this because it was so great. He was at the College of Incarnate Word, I think, before Washington State. And he wasn't, Alan, he was not great there. And it's like, so this guy who did not dominate at the College of Incarnate Word, and now he's the number 1 overall pick in the NFL draft, and we're expecting him to be great. No, thanks.
Let's test your dynasty.
Hold on. Yeah. You know what it's like? The scene in Dark Knight when Morgan Freeman is talking about the lawyer who finds out that Christian Bale is Bruce Wayne is Batman. And he's like, okay, so listen, you think that this guy that is pummeling people and beating all these people up is Batman? You're going to blackmail this person? Right. Good luck. That's how I feel about Cam Ward. Okay, Go ahead with your dynasty knowledge.
No, I'm just throwing it back to you. Where do you think he's being valued in dynasty rankings as the quarterback rankings?
Oh, I'd have to. I mean,
QB what? If you get it totally wrong, there's no shame here.
Between 15 and 20. And
it's 13. So it's right. And that's all 101 optimism, right? Like you just highlighted all of the downside there. You listen. No wonder you love this topic, right? This show is made for you. Talking about downside right here now, and so let's just summarize that. It's like the lack of like true 101 upside. He was just the best in class in a poor class, and also the lack of perceived weapons at this point. I think that he's in real trouble. And then, you know what? We were talking about that. You brought up the Bryce Young benching. This coaching staff can't have another 2-win season, right? Like if they start off 0-6 and he's getting the crap beat out of him, Will Levis might start a game.
Ugh. And think about that too for this regime, because they fired their GM and the new GM rebuffed all these trade offers for the 101. To go with Cam Ward, and next year's class should be pretty good. And if all these other teams are finding these gems in the first round of the draft, this, as Ricky Ricardo would say, is going to have a lot of splaining to do. Yeah,
dude, Ricky, that is a great reference right there. I love Lucy. Yeah, I mean, an all-time TV character. I love Lucy. Come on, that is unbelievable.
He was great, and that show was great. I mean, that's in the pantheon for sure.
Yes.
So when we consider everything we've said about all these rookies and the downside for these rookies, you and Scott said tongue in cheek on X, like, once you watch this, you will never make another rookie draft pick again. You're going to trade all your rookie picks. How do you play dynasty, just in general? This is like no kidding around. Is it better actually to trade these rookie picks for veterans who you've already seen do it at the NFL level, Alan?
So the answer is probably yes, but doesn't come without risk, right? Like I traded my 108 one year and I missed out on Justin Jefferson, right? Like that is going to happen, right? Mm-hmm. But okay, so I had recently, Balky, I had the 209 and the 309. I traded those two picks for Davante Adams. Okay. So in a league where I feel like I can, I needed a receiver and I can win it all. So is the 209, whatever you get there, it's like right now it's great, right? Like you get Trey Harris there. Wow, what a value. But Trey Harris is, 3 for 38 1 year, or he gets 723 yards in year one. That's a pretty good season for him with 3 touchdowns. All right, fine. But man, Davante Adams, he's probably, in the FFPC, he's still probably going in round 4 or 5. I'm assuming it's maybe. Yeah, something like that. So, yes, I like to trade. The further down you get, if you can get veterans, especially if you're in one of these leagues that has big lineups, I like to trade them. And, look, you're not going to really trade Ashton Jeanty, at the 101 for, anything that's not ranked above him. But you're sitting at the 108, and you're going to take a Mecca Ibuka, and someone comes in and offers you, like, Chris Olave and, something else that you like, a distressed out, Jalen Waddle and something else. Those are the type of deals I'm making. And again, the downside is that, I try to trade these rookie picks away, but often, and not often, but sometimes you're going to miss out on like the Jamar Chase if you do that, the Justin Jefferson. But sometimes you avoid Henry Ruggs and Jalen Reagor.
That's true. And honestly, there's more misses than hits.
Yes.
So that goes part and parcel to what you're talking about here.
What do you do? Do you try to spend them, or do you try to?
So I have I normally will wait, and this is probably the wrong approach. I will normally wait till I'm on the clock, and if there's nobody else I like, then I start shopping it for future picks and players. Right. Mm-hmm. I don't typically like to trade my rookie picks because the drafts I'm in some pretty good dynasty leagues, mm-hmm. and I never know what these guys are capable of. So I never know if I'm going to get an absolute gem falling into my lap there where I feel really good about it and I love picking them. I never know if I'm not going to be like, God, it's all turds here. I don't want anybody. So when it comes to rookie picks versus veterans, I think more often than not, I'm probably making the pick. But I don't think I'm adverse to if somebody's going to part with a veteran, or maybe a veteran and a pick. Then yeah, I'll probably deal the pick, Alan. It's just I don't have a hard and fast rule for it. I'll go both ways on this.
Yeah, no, and when you're in a lot of leagues, you can do that, but there's people that are in 5 leagues, 3 leagues that have to make these decisions, and the rookies are so fun to draft. But if you're on the clock at like 204, and some guy's like, "Oh, I gotta have Trey Harris. I'll give you Chris Godwin and a second next year." I mean,
95% of the time I get a deal like that, I'm making it.
Yes.
I'll let you have your guy like that. That's fine. If somebody's going to come after me that aggressive, then like, okay, clearly you want somebody here. I will bet the field and I'll let you have your guy. And then I'll take the asset and I'll take the draft pick. Like that's just that to me. I don't want to say no brainer, but it's close to a no brainer for me.
Yeah. But not this, when you're on the clock, people don't always think like that. I don't always think like that. Sometimes I go the other way, but yeah,
I will say this. There was one league I was in this year, a league where I was drafting. This is a fun story. Mm-hmm. I shouldn't tell it because we're running out of time, but Alan, I was watching football with my 11-year-old son this past fall, week 14.
What's your son's name, by the way?
Lucas.
Okay.
I was trying to make the playoffs in this league, and I screwed up. It was Lamar Jackson's bye. I started him on a bye when I had Brock Purdy on my team, who scored like 20-some points that week. I couldn't believe it.
We've done that. We've all been there. So,
but now here's how it affected it. I would have won that game. I would have scored enough points. It's a victory point format that I would have made the playoffs. And then I extrapolated the playoffs out. I would have taken second. I wouldn't have won the league, but I would have been the runner up.
How much cash would that have been?
Would have been $1,000 for me for second place. Now, hold on. Now, here's the thing. I ended up, because you play out for the number 1 pick. Mm-hmm. If you don't make it, I won the number 1 pick.
And who'd you get?
Jeanty.
Was this year? Okay.
Yeah. So now it's like I was like, would I have rather taken second place or would I rather have Ashton Jeanty on my team? I don't know how I felt about that. So anyway, I took Jeanty on the team, but that team I also had Travis Kelce and nobody else for tight end. So I'm seeing all these picks go off the board, and I'm like, God, if I could just get to the 201, where either Loveland or Warren's still there. Warren went at like the 108, 109. Mm-hmm. This is non-tight end premium, by the way. And then Dave Gerzak, co-founder of the FFPC, he's in this league with me, and he's at the 112. He sent me a trade offer. He's like, I'm taking Loveland here unless you want to do this deal. And what
was the deal?
I trade my 201 for his 112, and I trade my 301 for his 312.
Smash.
Which is what I did.
Yeah.
So I got Loveland there as my hopefully heir apparent to Kelce in that league. And I don't even know what happened in the 3rd round. I think I got somebody okay at the 312.
It doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So then at that point, I was willing to take the plunge on the rookie pick.
Yes.
So that's, I think I want to be fungible. I understand the risks at that point though, too. I might have totally screwed myself. You never know. Because here's the thing. I like Luther Burden from a dynasty perspective. And that's who I was going to take at the 201 had he not offered me this deal. And he ended up taking Burden at the 201. And then he was, oh God, now he's the biggest Luther Burden fan in the world. He's on Amazon buying Luther Burden, the honey barbecue chips that Luther Burden is selling now. He's like, oh my God, these chips are awesome. I got Burden on my team. This is the best pick ever. And I'm like, whatever, screw you. Loveland's going to be an all pro. So
first of all, I love that story. And I'll try to, do you know the Chinese proverb about the guy with the horse? Do you know this whole thing?
No, I don't.
Okay. So super quick. It's a guy lives in a village and he comes back with a horse. They said, "Oh my God, you found this horse. What amazing." He goes, "We'll see, we'll see." And next day his son goes on the horse, falls off the horse and breaks his leg. They go, "Oh, that's so terrible." He goes, "We'll see. We'll see." Yeah. Next day, the military comes in, says, "We're taking all the healthy young men out to war." And he goes, "Oh, this guy, he's got a broken leg. Leave him here." He goes, "Oh, that's great." He goes, "We'll see." So you never know how these things are gonna
things change. Like
you're right, and never get too high, never get too low. What you think is like is something bad, can end up being something good. We think it's something good can end up being something bad. The guy breaks his leg. It's a terrible thing, but he didn't have to go off and fight in a war. So it was a good.
My high school football coach always told me that, Alan. Like we were a pretty good team, and he always said, never get too high, never get too low, no matter what's going on. And I've treated that to my life too. Like you never get too high on everything that's going on. You never get too low on everything you just kind of keep that steady pace and it works.
Smart out. Coach. Isn't it funny how that stuck with you too?
He's a Wisconsin high school football coach, Hall of Famer. So he did a lot. Okay, here's what I want to do. We only have like 14 minutes left in the show. I want to skip our final break. Let's just power through to the end. I want to tell everybody about the FFPC main event. It's our flagship event with the FFPC. $1 million grand prize, $6 million plus prize pool. If you sign up by May 31st, that's 16 days from now, you're going to get $200 off your first team, and you'll have the opportunity to play against industry pros and other FFPC Joes for an FFPC main event free team in 2026. Slow drafts already running now. Live drafts will start up at the end of this month, myffpc.com. Let's talk about some polarizing players. I'm going to kind of pick and choose here. I want to focus on players we haven't talked a whole lot about. Kyren Williams is the first one I want to talk about here. Kyren Williams, Alan, is a player that a lot of people have been trying to sell on, that they don't believe in him because he doesn't have the draft pedigree. He was slow, didn't have the greatest combine numbers, and yet he's still doing numbers with the Rams. Blake Corum couldn't touch him last year. And the Rams invest in Jarquez Hunter this year. So now they have Hunter and Corum. And yet Kyren Williams in the FFPC Big Gorilla right now, I think I mentioned his ADP earlier. I'll say it again. Running back 11 at the 304, behind Irving and Jacobs, ahead of Breece Hall, ahead of Chase Brown. God, I can't believe Breece Hall's still going that high. Kyren Williams, your thoughts on him as a Rams running back this year, now that he not only has to contend with a healthy Blake Corum, but Jarquez Hunter as well?
Kyren Williams is not getting out. If I have an early first round pick, I take Kyren Williams in the second round. I don't screw around here, right? Like what else does he have to do, right? Like Sean McVay showed that he trusts him. He leans on him. The guy scores a ton of touchdowns. Fine. He's not good. Okay. But he's good at fantasy football, right? Mm-hmm. He's in the perfect offense for him. As long as Sean McVay and Matt Stafford are there, I want Kyren Williams. I don't understand like that. Blake Corum couldn't even sniff the football field last year, and that Hunter pick seems like that's more of a threat to Blake Corum.
To Corum, right?
Yeah, man. Kyren Williams in the third round is nuts to me. I'm happy to take him anytime in the late second round there. And I wouldn't be surprised if Williams is one of those guys that ends up going pushing up to like the 203, 204. It probably won't happen because people just don't like him. But man, if anyone's selling, like if I'm on the clock at like 203, right, and someone like gotta have in a rookie draft. I mean, this holds true for all formats, but I want to buy Kyren Williams if someone's selling.
Kyren Williams is on an offense too with Devontae Adams, with Puka Nacua, with Matthew Stafford, with Terrence Ferguson. So I think there's a lot to like about that offense in general here.
You're in on Kyren, right? You like Kyren?
Yeah, I mean, for 304, I would tell, especially think about this. Like if you have, trying to think how this would go. If you have an early first round pick in the FFPC, let's say you could take Brock Bowers. Right at like the 104, the 105, whatever. You take Bowers, and then it comes back to you in the second round, and you take AJ Brown, you take Ladd McConkey. God, Kyren Williams then as your number one running back after you already have those two guys. I mean, I think you're doing it right at that point.
Yeah, like I said, it's just there. He is. You know what? We talked about a couple of those other guys that he's, I think, going to end up being the number one value at running back so far this year, as I'm seeing the board lineup.
Mr. Magic posts this in YouTube. He wants us to rank these guys, as long as you're talking about Kyren Williams. He wants us to rank these guys for redraft, Alan. It's Kenneth Walker. It's, I'm assuming, Chase Brown. Yep, thank you. Kenneth Walker, Chase Brown, Jonathan Taylor, Ashton, Jeanty, and Kyren Williams. Now, if I look at the FFPC ADP, and our view may differ on this, but the FFPC ADP would have it Jeanty, Taylor, Kyren Williams, Chase Brown, and then Kenneth Walker, in that order right now. I would say, if I am looking at this, I would still put Jeanty 1. Oh man, I think I'd put
Taylor.
No, I don't know if I put Taylor up there.
Kyren too.
Kyren Williams, I think I'd put him at 2.
Right. Chase Brown 3.
I could see Chase Brown 3. Brown and Taylor are kind of interchangeable for.
But you have to pick. You're on the clock. You get 1.
Okay, then I'm taking Brown because I hate the Bengals defense. So we'll go Brown, Taylor, and then Walker. That's how I think of.
Yeah, we're in complete agreement there.
Okay. All right. So hopefully that helps Mr. Magic for you on the clock in what I can only suppose is an FFPC league. RJ Harvey, holy cow. How did I make it an hour and 50 minutes with Alan Seslowsky and not talking about RJ Harvey, one of the most polarizing dynasty players and quite frankly, redraft players out there right now. Your thoughts on RJ Harvey? Let's talk about it from a dynasty standpoint. You said you were already taking him over Loveland, over Warren at the end of the first round. How do you feel about Harvey going forward with Denver? There's a lot to like here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if he's polarizing because everyone likes the damn guy, right? He got higher than expected draft capital. Everyone loves the landing spot, and and Sean Payton offense. They like the environment as well. So, RJ Harvey, I would bet RJ Harvey to outscore Omarion Hampton, right? Like, not even a question there. And we're talking redraft FFPC. Obviously, the only problem with him in FFPC dynasty leagues is that he's 24 years old, right? So you're drafting like production now, and that's when you said that I would take him over Colston Loveland in a rookie draft. Again, it's a totally different bet. It's like you're betting that he's going to produce in 2025 for you. Like, that's what you're thinking. Whereas Loveland, you're getting a 21-year-old tight end that you have, for years to come. So yeah, I mean, I like RJ Harvey. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Harvey creep into like the 3rd or 4th round. Like, Kyren and those guys move up and Harvey is like the backfill to that. I'm think that when the tourists, I like that, come in and there's a lot of RJ Harvey hype that the pros are going to push him up to.
So right now in the Big Gorilla for the FFPC, Hampton is at the 402. Harvey is at the 505, running back 14 versus running back 19.
They're going to flip.
That ADP. Okay, I was just going to say that ADP is going to tighten up.
Yeah.
But I think you're very right. When we get to September and we're drafting at Paris, Las Vegas, in Nevada, I think you could see a flip there where Harvey is actually going ahead of him because people are going to recognize, like, look, Harvey's the only game in town. Hampton still has to deal with Harris, and obviously injuries can affect that or whatever. But injuries aside, right now, I think that Harvey makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, there was a shout out to all the people that got Harvey in like the 13th round pre-draft, right?
Bravo. Quinn. No, I want to skip Quinchon. I want to skip Quinchon Judkins because I want to talk Cowboys with you. The Cowboys running backs. Holy cow! When you think about all the great ones they've had over the years, and then how Jerry Jones has ignored the position the last few years, including, but not limited to, not wanting to sign Derrick Henry, letting Rico Dowdle, not that he was a great one, go to Carolina. You look at the Big Gorilla ADP on Cowboys running backs. Running back 39, Javonte Williams. Running back 42, Jayden Blue. Running back 76, Miles Sanders, and then Phil Maffa, running back 78. Everybody is hating on the Cowboys running backs. The top Cowboys running back, Alan, right now is not being drafted until 9 rounds are complete in FFPC Big Gorilla drafts. Is that right? And which Cowboys running back would you be putting your money on? Let's focus this in a redraft section.
Yeah, and it's Javonte Williams, right? Like, I mean,
over Jayden Blue. Now you make it seem like this is open and close. I don't know if it is.
It's not open and close, but I'm highly confident. I like boring players, Balky, right? Because they, now I like boring players when they've they've produced, right? Like Mike Evans, Joe Mixon, like those type of guys. We've mentioned them a couple of times, but Javonte Williams, he was, now he's a couple of years removed from the injury. He's a good player, not a great player. All we've ever said is like, well, the Cowboys get a damn running back that we like. Tony Pollard had some success there. Obviously, Zeke for many years died out there. But man, when you're getting a starting running back in the 9th round, now it seems like there's a lot of correlation, or like you could kind of map it up with Jayden Blue, the rookie that they took in the 5th, or what did they take him in the 5th round? 5th round. Yeah. To Tony Pollard's rookie year, right? They took Tony Pollard in the 4th round. Everyone liked him, but he couldn't produce until like Zeke was out of the way. Javonte seems like at very minimum, he's going to cap the upside of Jayden Blue, similar to how Pollard was capped. Cowboys took him in a day 3 running back. So I like Javonte here. You're hoping for 950 yards and 7 touchdowns, but
that'd be a massive win. Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So in the 7th round, I think that's like that's in play. If Dallas is good, if they get down to the, to the 5-yard line, Javonte hammer a few in. So I really do like the price on there. The sexy rookie thing with Blue is great, but I'm team Javonte. There's a couple, like he's like a quote sleeper I like, or a late round value, however you want to term it.
So I feel like based on what you just told me, you're going to have a lot of Javonte Williams this year if he's going in the 10th round.
Yeah, because if I'm in one of those things where I've gone a vanity tight end, that you talked about, Scott Pianowski, that's a term he always likes, right? Like a Brock Bowers or a McBride, then I'm already behind at one of the positions. Javonte is one of my life preservers at the position there. Different topic, but Wan'Dale Robinson, Marvin Mims, those would be the wide receivers that are my life preservers, the ones that go in that range. But yeah, Javonte, you're getting a starting running back that's only competition is Miles Sanders, not Miles. Is a rookie, Jayden Blue, right? Who again, 5th round rookie. Come on, man.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's move on to receivers here. We talked about Rashid Shaheed. Do you feel like Garrett Wilson is being undervalued? I can't remember who I was talking about this. When you consider what Garrett Wilson has done in his short career in the NFL, Alan, like I feel like we penalize him for what we think he should be doing, when in fact he is cranking out 1,000-yard receiving seasons with the Jets. Wide receiver 12 at the 301 right now. I have no problems with him there. In fact, I think he might be a little undervalued.
Yeah, everything you said, spot on. You're seeing it as clear as day here, as usual, Balky. And it's just he is not done. He's under delivered expectation, so he moves down. Now you add in that Justin Fields is not. He's not like a kingmaker like supposedly Aaron Rodgers was. Although DJ Moore had a great year with Justin Fields. So I think we can see a year like that from Garrett Wilson. Again, you can't take everybody in the 3rd round, but in those drafts where I've been pushing up Kyren, Garrett Wilson's usually been my choice in the early 3rd.
Last year, Alan, you told everybody that Jamar Chase was your 101, which he's everybody's this year's 101, right? Everybody's taking him 101. Last year was 106, 107, 108. I saw 109, 110 in a few drafts. But you were right last year. Is there a Jamar Chase-like player in 2025 drafts that you can let us behind the Seslowsky curtain on?
Yeah, thanks for shouting that take out. Yeah, it just seems so obvious that because he had already was knocking on that door and could be there. Now, just for the record, I would take Jamar Chase 101, right? But 2 players that could get there that are going in that range, that 106 to 108 range. I think, Malik Neighbors at the quarterback play is good. He's the next one that could really break through up there. Before they drafted Travis Hunter, I was thinking Brian Thomas could have been too, but man, Ashton, it's so easy to see Ashton Jeanty on all the covers of the magazines and the website of the preview guides next year. Jeanty already projected to be to lead the league in carries. And if he exceeds that projection, adds 40, 50 catches in there, man, he could be next year's 101. So although I don't have the same bullish stance I did on Jamar Chase, he's my 101. Jeanty or Malik Neighbors are so obviously could be the next, and that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to draft next year's 101 in this draft.
So let me throw one more name at you. This is something that I was considering, again, only in tight end premium leagues, but I was considering this after Brock Bowers had his massive season. You saw what the Raiders did in the offseason. And Dave Gerzak, again, I'll bring him up, co-founder of the FFPC. And he told me this in February. He's like, Balky, the 101 in FFPC redrafts this year is going to be Brock Bowers. Now it hasn't been. Brock Bowers is going on average at the 105. But I think in this format, you could make a case, especially when you consider the tight end position where it's Bowers, McBride, and not a whole lot else as far as elite guys go. You can make the case for Bowers at the 101.
Yeah, I mean, Travis Kelce at the year before my Jamar Chase 101, I was talking about Travis Kelce as the 101. So yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense, especially in FFPC's format, the position scarcity. The problem is, you're chasing. That's the only issue when you go for that elite tight end in round one. We did it forever with Gronk and Jimmy Graham, right? You took him in the first round, and then you just felt like you never caught up there. So yeah, if anyone's gonna be a 101 tight end, Brock Bowers is the guy. So
the 101 for me, co-hosting this show, Alan Seslowsky from RotoWire.com. RotoWire, all the YouTube channels, the RotoWire YouTube channel, including but not limited to the RotoWire Dynasty podcast, which Alan co-hosts on. Alan, when you host that show, how often does that come out?
Once a week. We go live on Fridays at 10:30 a.m. We try to do it live, and then we put it in the podcast feed later that day. So
perfect.
If you like to watch YouTube videos live, Friday 10:30 a.m. Obviously, it's on the RotoWire YouTube page. There's a Dynasty playlist, and if you like your podcast in your ears, not on 3x speed, you can listen in the RotoWire Fantasy Football podcast feed. Thank you for
absolutely 10:30 Eastern, right?
Do you have a day job? Or are you going to be able to come on this podcast one of these days?
Listen, I have this is my second job. I have three jobs.
I know you do work the radio. You're on the radio.
Yes, I'm on the radio, but if it's 9:30 Central Time, I can make that work.
Well, I would move the time for you. So
you wouldn't have to. That's what I'm saying. You wouldn't have to. Okay. I would go into my radio station early and I just do the show there. So whenever you want me, you let me know.
Right. As soon as we're done here, I'm going to send you the DM in Twitter.
You're the man. This is why I love Alan Seslowsky. This is why I follow him and why you should follow him too on the X at Alan Seslowsky. Don't forget him and Jim Coventry covering the NFL on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio coming up in the next couple of months, all through the NFL season. Alan, thank you so much. Gentleman and a scholar, this 2 hours flew by. Thank you so much. Alan Seslowsky joining us tonight on the FFPC Insider Access Show. Play the FFPC main event, the FFPC Big Gorilla, the FFPC Best Ball and Superflex Best Ball tournaments, Dynasty Startups available at myffpc.com. For our producer, Sean Engel, and my guest co-host, Alan Seslowsky, I am Eric Balkman. We will be back next Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern for more FFPC Insider Access. Have a great weekend, everybody.